Thank you. I'm just so honored to be here today with my gold medal in my national team jacket. So excited to be back talking about Make It or Break It season 2. Now, honestly, I feel like I won a gold medal because of the reaction to my season 1 video. I didn't think anyone was gonna watch it, and then people watched it and commented and liked it, and honestly it was so validating because I spent so long watching, taking notes, filming, and then editing. And granted, I add way too many sound effects, so if I take long editing, it's my fault. I was also excited because no one in my normal life, I feel like, watched this show and ever knows what I'm talking about if I bring it up. So I'm glad I can find people who also watched it. I'm gonna take this medal off because it's annoying. This is for being conference champions in my soccer team in high school. Yes, I peaked in high school. Anyways, so if you haven't seen my first video, go watch it. If you want to know what happened in season 1, or you've never seen the show, or you just need a refresher, you can watch that. I'm not really going to recap anything besides saying where we left off at season 1. So this is my favorite season 2. Season 1 is not my favorite. And I think it shows, or either a lot more stuff happened in this season because I had twice the amount of notes, honestly crazy. So I don't know if I'm going to be splitting this video up into a part 1 and part 2 because honestly I don't know if my computer can handle editing that much footage, but we shall see. Okay, so last episode ended with Kaylee inviting Carter over to her house to make up because they were broken up, but instead he was with Lauren and they were making out in her garage apartment thing that he had been living in. First episode of season 2 starts off with the girls having a photo shoot for the Rock Rebels. It's Lauren, Kaylee, and Emily, and they're doing this photo shoot as the Rock Rebels because they went against the National Gymnastics Association, so they're seen as rebels in the gymnastics community, so they're kind of embracing that image. And while they're doing this photo shoot, Payson is trying to get her moves back because, remember, she's still recovering from her surgery and is not yet back on the national team. So she's off practicing her moves or whatever. And Emily is still waiting to hear back if her scholarship is getting reinstated because she lost it because she broke the rules when she went against the NGO and they found out she had a job and stuff like that. And Kaylee mentions that Carter still hasn't texted her back or called her back or responded to her voicemail that she left him on his phone saying that they were going to work, that they needed to work things out. And Emily says she's not going to wait forever to hear from Damon. Also, guys, I got bigger pictures this time, or printed them out. If they look a little funky, it's because my printer was running out of ink. So I did my best because I'm not about to buy ink because this is the only thing I ever use my printer for. They're having this conversation while they're taking these pictures, and they pull Sasha into the pictures to include him. And then guess who shows up? None other than the devil herself, Ellen Beals. She got her whole name because that is how I refer to her. She's Ellen Beals. Also, nobody in the show calls her Ellen. They all call her Ellen Beals. Ellen shows up to The Rock while they're doing this photo shoot, and she tells them that they are not going to be going to the gymnastics meet that they're having in France that the national team is supposed to be going to. And she also tells them they are indeed suspended from the national team until further notice. And it gets awkward because they're literally glammed up doing this photo shoot, oh, we're the Rock Rebels, and then it's she says that the girls technically breached their contracts by participating in the club meet with China in season 1 that they did. So she leaves, and Sasha says that they're gonna call their bluff and that the girls will indeed be going to the meet in France. They're not just not gonna take the best girls on the team. And he said that they're just threatened by them because they actually stood up to them, which they do not tolerate. And he tells them that they just shouldn't do anything until they come crawling back asking them to go. Lauren is a little doubtful of this. She's immediately you can tell. She's I don't know about this one, guys. And then Payson says she's going to try to petition onto the national team, which involves doing her routines in front of the national committee, and then they vote on whether or not she should be allowed to be on the national team. And then Lauren is still showing signs of being jealous of Kaylee. You'd think she'd feel better now that she's got Carter, but no, she's still like showing a lot of jealousy about her being the national champion. Like in the photo shoot, they want like Kaylee to take a picture by herself, and Lauren's like, ugh, we're all on the national team. I think we all sing. It's getting very much that. And then Lauren's talking to Emily and Kaylee, and she's like, are you, like, she's trying to like plant seeds of doubt in their head and like create strife between them because she just can't help herself. And she's like, are you guys sure it'd be a good thing if Payson comes back on the team? I mean, she could beat you at nationals next year, Kaylee, and Emily, she could take your spot on the national team if you don't get your contract reinstated. And Kaylee's like, so what should we do? Hit her with a baseball bat? Like, sarcastically, because, yeah, Lauren, what are you implying? Like, these people aren't as vindictive as you. They're not going to, like, try to sabotage their friends just because they are better at them at the sport you all love. Like, come on. And then Emily is at home with Chloe, her mom. She says she got a new dress, and hopefully her boyfriend, Steve Tanner, will like it. And like it so much that he pays their rent for the next month. And Emily's like, I think she's joking, but Emily's like, no, Mom, stop it right there. We are not taking a single dime from that family. Like, I would never hear the end of it from Lauren. Like, I'm too proud. We're not doing that. And Kaylee shows up at the pizza shack to hopefully talk to Carter and get some, like, reasonings why he never called her back. Like, I can forgive you with sleeping for Lauren if you want to try again. And he's like, no, it's too late for that. Well, I'll always love you, but I just think we'll be better as friends. And she asks if there's something that he's not telling her because he's being very like shifty. Says no, there's nothing. And so she like gets emotional and is like, I need to go to the bathroom for a sec. And while she's there, while she's in the bathroom, who else shows up other than Lauren? And she is wearing a trench coat, and she like comes in the back door through the kitchen that Carter is working in and just opens the trench coat, and she just has, you know, like lingerie underneath. Carter's like, whoa. hey, Kaylee's in the bathroom, you gotta cover that up. And Lauren's like, what is she doing here? And he tells her that he told Kaylee that it was over, and she's like, but you didn't tell her it's because you're sleeping with me, did you? And he's like, no, I didn't want to do that. And then Lauren says something about, because she doesn't want to ruin, because Kaylee's her best friend, and she doesn't want to ruin that. And Carter's like, you can't. Carter's the only one with sense here. A lot of the time, honestly, like, he's a piece of shit. He cheated and everything, but like sometimes he kind of is the only one that makes sense. He's like, she cannot be your best friend if you're lying to her, and tells her that Lauren needs to choose whether he wants to be Kaylee's best friend or his girl. So Lauren leaves out the back and then comes around back through the front door to act like she just got there because she says she saw Kaylee's car, so she greets Kaylee, and then she like comforts her because Kaylee's like upset, obviously, and it's like, Lauren, I just, how does someone live with themselves that lies this much? I'll never understand. And that night, also, Chloe and Steve are out at a fancy dinner, and Steve offers to help the Kometkos out because Chloe's like dropping hints that they're having money problems. And Chloe internalized what Emily had told her earlier and is like, no, like, I want you to respect me. I don't want to take any money from you. I'm not going to take any handouts. And she also says that she wants Emily to respect her too, and Emily will not if she takes money from Steve Tanner. Emily's a proud girl. She doesn't like feeling like charity. Also at dinner, Chloe mentions to Steve about the girl's suspension from the national team, and Steve is like, what are you talking about? I have heard nothing of this. Payson is at the gym training late that night, trying to get her skills back because, you know, she's been out for a while. And she mentions petitioning onto the team to Sasha to kind of gauge what he thinks about it. And he's like, yeah, no, you're not ready. Like, you got a long way to go before you are back to where you were or better before her injury. And he measures her height and tells her that she's grown an inch since she's been out because she, like, being out of the gym caused her to, like, go through puberty and, like, grow, because they play up this whole thing about gymnasts not having their periods because they have so little body fat. Also, I don't know if that's a true thing. I'm assuming maybe if you're elite, Olympic level, that's probably true, but who knows. And he tells her since she did gain this much, she's gonna kind of have to change her style of gymnastics. She's not gonna be able to be the same powered gymnast that she was before. And she gets really upset. She does not like this because, I mean, that is a hard thing to hear, probably, because it's kind of like you're starting your entire career over. He gets really upset and tells him he's wrong and walks out of the gym. They then show Lauren and Carter together in bed, and Carter, again, the only one with sense, clocks Lauren's tea hard. He says something like, you're more competitive off the mats than on them. It's like you're afraid if someone else has nice things, it's gonna leave nothing left for you. And she says, well, maybe it's because I didn't get everything I want, like Kaylee. Girl, please, you are probably more spoiled than Kaylee is. Like, your dad literally rigs the whole system for you, gives you every single thing you want. The only thing you don't have is your mom. And I get that that's hurtful and probably you up a lot, thinking that your mother chose drugs over you. But oh my god. And also, what is easy about Kaylee? She literally has trained her whole life as well. It's not like everything's handed to her. So anyways, it's just very like diluted. I can't. I mean, maybe if you didn't focus so much on other people and what they're doing and like sabotaging them and focused more on your own gymnastics, maybe you could have won nationals like Kaylee did, because she stays in her own lane for the most part. The only thing she had like differently was like a boyfriend, and she doesn't even have that anymore. So like it just makes no sense, this thought that Lauren has that Kaylee just gets everything handed to her. And also, Kaylee's family is literally falling apart because her dad cheated on her mom with her coach. So like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows over there either. Carter tells Lauren that she has him, and that's one thing Kaylee won't have, and she is comforted by that. The next day at practice, Steve Tanner comes into the gym kicking up a fuss because of the suspension, and he's like yelling at Sasha, and Lauren like agrees with her dad. She kind of incites the other girls to start questioning Sasha's choices about having the meet and going against the NGO and everything. Something's brewing. So Lauren goes over to Kaylee's house that afternoon and tells her that Kelly Parker tweeted that there was a national team practice without the Rock Girls. And then they start panicking. So they get all the girls over to Kaylee's house, and they plan to go behind Sasha's back so they can go to the meet in France. Lauren tries to spin it as doing exactly what Sasha told them to do by going against what he wants. It's them not being controlled by someone who doesn't have their best interest. However, Sasha does have their best interest, and Ellen Beals certainly does not. So it's again like Lauren, she needs, her father should have put her in therapy long time ago. So they meet with Ellen Beals early in the morning before practice, like try to plead their case, like we want to go to France, what do we need to do? So she tells them that she wants to hear it from their mouths where their loyalties lie. So not with Sasha, but with the National Gymnastics Association or organization, NGO, yeah. So they all pledge their allegiance to the NGO, and like they aren't signing anything, like there's no binding agreement. I don't know what. It's very odd. I think Ellen just likes to feel in control. Like, it's very strange. Also, is this... Alright, sorry. It was all crooked. That seems better. Okay. And also minors with no parental guardian in attendance. So it's like, what are you really getting out of this? Ellen, you're being weird. And then Ellen kind of... goes off about how the biggest disappointment of her life was not making the Olympic team, and it's like it's very like telling of why she's doing what she's doing in this current job. And it's like, why are you guys trusting your career with this woman who has never been to the Olympics rather than your coach who has medaled at the Olympics like twice, or I don't know how many times, but I feel like he might know a little bit better than Ellen, because I mean, I guess you could say she knows what it's like to fail and knows and wants to keep the girls from feeling that, but she only has her own purposes. Like, she doesn't really care about them. So she says that she will bring their case to the committee and tell them about what they talked about, and They will decide about the suspension and the France meet. Emily pipes up and asks about her scholarship being reinstated, and Ellen's like, no, you broke the rules, and now it's beyond my control. Like, you broke the rules. And then Payson pipes up and tells her she would like to be petitioned onto the national team. Ellen's like, are you ready? And she very confidently says yes, even though Sasha told her she wasn't. And Ellen says she'll speak to her colleagues about it. So the girls all go to practice after that, and you can tell they are all feeling quite guilty about going behind Sasha's back, as they should. He's never failed them, genuinely, so I don't know why they would think it would go badly this time. But Sasha comes in and he gives Emily an expedited passport that he had sent over for her, so because he's that confident that they're going to go to France and that the NGO will change their mind. Which, like, how the hell was she supposed to go to China last season if she didn't have a passport? That makes no sense, but anyways, she has one now, I guess. Ellen Beals shows up at the Rock and tells the girls that their suspension has been lifted, and tells them that the rankings for the France meet will be Kaylee Cruz at number 1, Emily at number 3, and Kelly actually sprained her wrist at practice, so she will not be going any longer, and Lauren did not make the top 6 and will also not be going. and y'all know Lauren doesn't like that, so she flips and says, are you kidding me? I am the reason that we all came to pledge our allegiance to you. It was my idea to go see you. Like, how can you not take me when it was my idea? And Sasha is right there and hears all of this and hears that they betrayed him, and his face, like, he's trying not to show it in front of Ellen that he was betrayed, but you can tell he's upset. And Steve and Kim Keeler, who I just realized I forgot to put up earlier when I mentioned her, they are also standing right there hearing all of this, and Ellen's like, it's just how it happens sometimes, Lauren. And she also tells Payson that they've agreed to consider her petition and that she will perform for the committee in France. So Lauren, of course, stomps her little feet on over to her dad and says, you are going to figure out how to get me to France. And, Sasha's over there looking real sad. And he tells the girls, like, it's fine. The whole point was for you to go to France. So if you're going, then I'm happy. And Summer asks if Sasha is okay. He's like, I'm not mad that they took my advice to take their futures into their own hands. He thinks that they put it in the wrong hands with Ellen Beals because she only has her own interests in mind and not the girls' best interests. Does that make sense? Lauren is talking to the girls and is telling them how she's upset that she's not going to France. And they're like, well, I mean, you got to go to China and we didn't. So, I mean, you can't be that upset, which is valid. And then some random guy comes in who works at the magazine that they did the Rock Rebel shoot for. And he comes to ask for photo approval from Kaylee for the cover of the magazine. They show the photo and Lauren notices that it is a solo shot of Kaylee. And of course, that just adds fuel to the fire of her jealousy. And so she storms out. And Kaylee comes out and tries to apologize and telling her, like, she didn't know that they were going to do that. Lauren's like, well, of course you didn't, because you just get everything you want handed to you. There's one thing you didn't get. Carter. Because I got him. The night he didn't call you back was because we were boning. I mean, she didn't say that word, but you know what? That's what she says. And she's like, someone finally picked me. Literal definition of a pick me. Pick me. Choose me. Love me. Emily tells her mom that she's going to France, and her mom's like, oh, Damon's in Europe. Maybe you'll get to see him. And Emily's like, no, I am not going to do that. I'm just going to go to compete. And then Steve meets with Ellen Beals, and he's like, okay, what do you want? Like, to get Lauren to go to France, what do you want from me? And honestly, Ellen probably left Lauren off the team because she knew that Steve would owe her something to get her on the team, I feel like that's probably what happened. Ellen tells him that she wants Sasha out of the sport, and if he can do that, then Lauren can come to France as an alternate. He also asks Ellen to reinstate Emily's scholarship, and she says she can't, so he asks her to set up an anonymous fund under a private sports endowment group to give her a private scholarship that he is going to fund since she can't get the one from the NGO anymore. And Steve says, just between us girls, you were going to take them to France anyways, weren't you? And she just like coyly smiles. So, she obviously just wanted to get under Sasha's skin. Like, I can't with this woman. Like, if you were going to take him, just take him. If you genuinely care about winning so much, like, which is what you say, like, just do that. So Ellen immediately calls Emily and tells her that she felt so bad that she lost her scholarship, that she pulled some strings and got someone to give her a scholarship in hopes that she knows that she can trust her now. Right, Ellen. Spare me. Like, oh my, she's just so manipulative. Like, honestly, she's low-key Lauren's mom. Like, they could learn something from each other. So Emily then opens up a scrapbook back at home that she made that is just like all about Damon's tour. Posters and like announcements for his tour that he's the opener for. And she, like, girl, I thought y'all were broken up. When did you make this? And she sees that he's going to be in Paris while they are going to be in France. They're going to be, their meet is in Calais. Yeah. They then show a montage of all of Damon and Emily's moments from season 1, and it's like a song behind it, and it's, supposed to get you to like them together. Didn't work on me though. So that is how episode 1 ends. Now moving on to episode 2. Emily says that she's not gonna risk losing her new scholarship by seeing Damon in France. Which, okay, sure, girl. And Lauren is talking to her dad, and he's like, maybe you should focus more. I mean, Kaylee's number 1, and you can't even beat Emily for number 2 here at The Rock. You gagged me there, Steve. You really did. Lauren tries to apologize to Kaylee about her outburst yesterday and about being with Carter, and Kaylee is not having it. And Lauren's like, well, you should know we're having sex. Okay, like, good for you, whore. Anyways, just kidding. We don't slut shame here. She goes, that's great. Maybe now you'll get a magazine cover. So Steve is inviting people over to have a viewing party at his house for the meet. And he says to one man, he's like, keep it on the DL. It's just for the A-listers. Like, bro, please. I was just rooting for you, and now you've gone and ruined it. So Kim tries to invite Steve and Chloe to her house for a viewing party, but they both say that they have to work and that they can't come. So clearly, Kim is not an A-lister. Poor Kim. Okay, the lighting just changed. Sorry about that. It's now kind of dark in here. A cloud covered the sun, but we persist. Sasha tries one more time to talk to Payson and talk her out of petitioning onto the team because he still thinks she's not ready, and she just, she's very headstrong. She does not listen. She's like, no, I can do this. I believe in myself. And Sasha's like, I believe in you too, but like at a later date, right? The girls arrive in France to their hotel. And new character alert! Let's go. Okay, we are then introduced to one of my favorite characters, Austin Tucker. I'll just put him over here for now. So that's Austin Tucker. He's standing outside the hotel, like signing autographs and stuff. And he's staying at the hotel too. He's also a gymnast, an Olympic medalist. And Kaylee's like, let's go introduce ourselves. We're the Rock Rebels. I'm sure he knows us. And he mistakes her for a fan. And he's like offering to give her an autograph. And the girls are like laughing at her. And she's like, no. I'm not a fan, actually. And they have like a little flirty moment. And she ends up walking away. But Ellen Beals later talks to them and tells them they are not allowed to leave the hotel, even though the meet isn't until the next day, I think. She also tells them that Marty Walsh, also, I know this is a bad picture. It kind of just looks like a black blob, and I'm really sorry about that, but it's just kind of how it happened. That Marty Walsh is on a leave of absence pending committee review, and in the meantime, Ellen herself will be overseeing the meet and the team at the meet. The girls are in their hotel room and they're feeling pretty claustrophobic because they've just been stuck in there doing like nothing. So Lauren suggests that they all go to Paris and that there's trains that they can take. They can go see Green Day the next day in concert because that's who Damon is opening for, is Green Day. And Lauren's like picking at all of Emily's insecurities and she's like clearly trying to get her to go to Paris to see Damon so that she'll get in trouble, and then Lauren, since she's an alternate, she can take Emily's spot in the meet tomorrow. And Kaylee goes out in the hall to get ice, and she's in like PJs and a face mask, and she runs into none other than Austin Tucker, and he's with a girl, and Kaylee tells him who she is, and he's like, oh yeah, you're one of the rock rebels, of course, I love you guys. And he invites her to a party, and she's like, no, I'm busy. And he's like, yeah, well, that's why I don't date gymnasts. So the next day they have practice, and Ellen says to Lauren that she'll only compete if someone gets hurt, and Lauren's like, or breaks the rules. And Ellen's like, yeah, I guess there's that too. So obviously she's plotting. Oh, also, by the way, trigger warning for this whole season is talks of eating disorders and things like that. So if that is something that triggers you, probably don't watch this. Anyways, Ellen tells Kaylee that if she loses a few pounds, the trick she just did will be easier for her. So thank you, Ellen, for the advice. Also, guys, I'm drinking a Celsius so that I'll be high energy for this video. Genuinely looks like toxic waste. Like, what the hell am I putting in my body? Nastia Lukin shows up when the girls are eating lunch outside and talks to the girls, and they swoon. Oh my god, I used to love Nastia Lukin. I mean, I still do, but she obviously doesn't compete anymore. And Lauren is really pushing the narrative to the girls that you can have a boyfriend and also win a gold medal, and she keeps holding it over Kaylee's head that she doesn't have a boyfriend. And Kaylee's like, bitch, I don't care, I'm winning. Emily didn't do that well in practice that day, so Lauren says it's probably because she's distracted because she never got closure with Damon, and so it's just kind of in her head. And she tells Emily that she should go see him in Paris and get closure so that she will be ready for the meet and actually do well, so she's not distracted. And Emily's like, fine, I'll go and come back before Ellen Beals even knows, just to tell him goodbye. Girl, maybe a phone call could work in this situation. We don't have to go see him. Like, I don't know. Haley's like, I don't know if I can support this as your team captain. Like, I don't want you to get in trouble. And of course, Lauren Pushy McPushkins goes and buys her a train ticket because she speaks French. But she gets like a round trip ticket, but she takes out the return ticket, so only the ticket to Paris is there, not the one back, and then gives it to Emily and tells her it's round trip. And Kaylee is very suspicious of Lauren when she's doing all this because she's like, why are you being so nice? And Lauren's like, because I believe in love. So then they cut to Damon rehearsing, and they show this scene could genuinely be in a horror movie. Emily is like standing in the back of the auditorium that he's practicing in, and it's like shaded darkness, and she's just like, you can just like see like a silhouette of a person, like you can't really see her face. It is so creepy. It's giving stalker vibes. So he sees her, he finishes his song, and he goes to kiss her, and they have a little moment, whatever. So then back in America, Steve tells Chloe that he is throwing this watch party so he can campaign for himself to win president of the parents board, and says he would like to downplay the relationship for the time being because it'll distract people from the vote, and people will only be talking about their relationship instead of about his great campaign strategies and stuff. So, and to make her feel better about this, because I mean, obviously it doesn't feel nice that your boyfriend wants to keep you a secret, he like frames it that they have a secret alliance, and like, seriously, Steve, like, there's not any other reason why you'd want to keep it secret. It's just because it'd be distracting. Like, come on. Because I guarantee you that if they weren't dating, Chloe would not be invited to this party. He does not see her as an A-lister. Okay. He probably thinks she only has that. He probably views her as only having that status because he deems her worthy of that. You know what I'm saying? He's one of those people. So Emily, back in Paris, Emily and Damon are talking. And she says that she got his note late, and she tried to go see him at the radio station, but he wasn't there. And she tried calling, but apparently his cell doesn't work in Europe. So I guess that answers my question from earlier. And she tells him that they need to say goodbye, and that she needs to stay focused on her gymnastics. And she tells him not to wait for her. And so they say goodbye to each other. So they're also having a picnic in like front of the Eiffel Tower, and it's pretty cute, honestly. So Emily goes back to the train station so she can make it back to Calais, and she tries to like give them her ticket to board her train, and they're like, no, sweetheart, this is not a round trip ticket. Like, this is a one-way ticket. So they tell her that she has to buy a new one, and she's like, I don't have any money. Meanwhile, back at the hotel, Lauren, Kaylee, and Payson are there. They realize that Emily is late, so Payson is blaming Kaylee for letting her go. Ellen Beals shows up for bed checks, and they cover for Emily. They turn on the shower and tell her that she's in there, and Ellen's like, okay, I'll check back later. Back at the train station, Emily is doing tricks with like a cup on the ground, like a busker kind of thing, to get enough money to buy a ticket. And who stumbles upon her doing all that mess other than Austin Tucker? He tells her that if she does a full twist, then he'll buy her a ticket. He tells her that he was at the Green Day concert and that the opening act, who is Damon, was super sad during his set and like would not stop going on and on and on talking about this girl named Emily. And he puts two and two together, and she's like, yeah, well. So they make it back to the hotel, and Austin, okay, I love you, brother, but he pulls the so no hug kind of thing when they're parting ways. So Emily hugs him. Of course, Ellen Beals comes out of the elevator at that exact moment and sees them hugging. And the next day, it's time for Payson to petition on to the team, and Ellen Beals comes into the room and tells them that, and then she also tells them that Lauren is going to be taking Emily's place that day since Emily broke the rules. Two dogs just came in my room. Hold on. They cut to Steve Tanner at his watch party, and he's acting like the ideal politician and kind of bad-mouthing Sasha a little bit. And they're watching the meet, obviously, and they find out about Lauren substituting for Emily, and Steve is very happy, and then obviously Chloe is not. Then they show Ellen thanking Lauren for the little tip last night about Emily not being in her room. And Lauren's like, yeah, I was just worried because she's never been to Paris before, and just between you and me, I don't know if she has what it takes to stay disciplined in this sport. Girl, I don't know if you have what it takes. Like, you are... I can't, sorry. Meanwhile, Emily's back in the locker room, crashing out. She's, like, throwing stuff and crying. And somehow Damon comes in there. I don't know how he knew where the meet was, where Emily was inside the complex, and how he got in without some sort of pass. I don't know. So he comes in there and she like cries to him. And Kaylee sees right through Lauren's bullshit about the ticket, and she says something to her about it. And Lauren is so manipulative. She says something like, I can't believe you think so little of me after we've been friends since you were 8 years old. Like, you think I'm that conniving? Yes! To her. You've been that conniving to her. And she's like, I just wanted Emily to go because I know what it's like to be in love. And that today she's going to prove that you can be in love and also win a medal, and that she's going to beat Kaylee in the all-around competition. So Damon tells Emily that he came back because obviously neither one of them wanted to say goodbye, so why should they? And Emily's like, I could just quit. Like, I am so sick of the rules and the sacrifices, and it's all for what? Like, I'm not even a winner. Like, just to be benched. Like, girl, yeah, you're sick of the rules, but when do you ever follow the rules? The rules literally mean nothing to you. How can you be sick of them? Like, make it make sense. And Damon's like, no, you can't quit. Like, you have to go all the way. It's who you are, and it'll be all worth it when you're on the podium at the Olympics. And he comes up with an idea that they are going to meet in Paris under the Eiffel Tower in 2 years and decide then if it'll be goodbye for them. So the competition is going on, and Lauren and Kaylee are being very competitive with each other and are neck and neck for the gold. Back in America, Kim shows up at Steve's house to get his signature for some rock papers or something like that. And she sees all the people there, and she's like, oh, everyone lied to me. Great. And Steve is like, oh, I must have had the wrong number for you since you never RSVP'd to my voicemail. What? She's like, I know I wasn't invited, but I want to know why. And he's like, well, I'm running for parents board, and basically you're worthless to me because your daughter is, hurt and wasn't even on the national team, and you hold no stake in the Rock anymore, and you also have no money. So at this exact moment, after she just got repeatedly shot from Steve, they hear on the TV that Payson did not get petitioned onto the team. She tried, and the committee decided not to allow her on the team. Then in the meet, Kaylee ends up getting the all-around gold, and Lauren is pissed because she didn't even get silver. She got bronze. Yikes. And one of the committee members is talking to Ellen Beals and says, it's really unfortunate that Payson was so unprepared. And Ellen's like, yeah, I told her that it was too soon. But Sasha Bella was very adamant. I genuinely think she told Payson to do it because she knew she would fail, and then she could blame Sasha when Sasha was the only one who was telling her honestly that she wasn't ready. The U.S. won the silver as a team, and Romania won the gold. And Ellen says to Emily, we might have won gold if you hadn't let the team down. And then they show Payson crying on the stairs by herself because she didn't get petitioned, obviously. Girls get back to Boulder, and then they have another montage moment of the competition that's kind of sad because they didn't win. And that's the end of episode 2. Now on episode 3, Payson fakes sick so she doesn't have to go to the Rock because she's embarrassed to face Sasha for not listening to him about being ready to petition. And Lauren found Chloe's bra in her house and tells her dad that he should get a vasectomy. We found out that Steve's mom is coming into town, and Lauren's like, you probably shouldn't bring Chloe around Gran. And Steve's like, of course not. I barely even tell people, nobody we even know knows about her. I'm not gonna tell my mom. And the girls are all scared that Sasha's gonna be mad at them for going behind his back, but he actually just congratulates them on their team silver and tells Kaylee that he hopes she realizes she actually deserves her national title, and tells her that as captain, her teammates' mistakes are her responsibility, and she has to set an example as team leader. And this is just crazy pressure to put on her. Yeah, team captain, you should be set an example as a leader, but if someone makes a mistake, that's on them. And you as a coach, the team, I don't know. Anyways, Kaylee ended up getting the girls' promise rings to make a promise to focus on their dreams and forsake the biggest distraction, boys. And obviously she did not get one for Lauren. So Kaylee, Emily, and Payson all have a promise ring now to focus on their dreams. But it's a bad time to swear off boys because who shows up at the gym? Austin Tucker. And we find out that he's going to be training at the Rock now. He pulls up on his motorcycle also. And everyone's like, what is he doing here? We see one of the girls' uneven bars get replaced by a men's parallel bars since Austin's there now. Summer questions Sasha's decision to bring Austin there because she thinks it's gonna distract the girls because Austin has a reputation. And Sasha's like, yeah, I know all about that, but female gymnasts are not his type. And Summer's like, well, people's types can change. And Sasha's like, oh, yes, how you used to be with Steve Tanner and now you're attracted to me. So Lauren's grandma shows up at the Rock and talks to Summer because she obviously knows her from where she used to date Steve, and mentions that her dad is seeing someone new to her grandma, that he didn't tell her about it because he doesn't think that she will approve. And Lauren's like, I think she's a gold digger. So, and then Austin talks to Emily about Damon, I think. I don't know. And Kaylee tells him to leave her alone. And as Kaylee is leaving practice, she sees Austin, and she walks by Austin, and he's with his motorcycle, and she calls it a crotch rocket, which is really funny. And then they just have a little bit of banter. Steve's mom makes him invite Chloe over for dinner so she can meet her. So Sasha comes over to Payson's house because obviously she didn't show up at practice, and he's like, okay, you have no reason to be embarrassed, like, it happened, like, let's move on. He tells her that she can be a different type of gymnast, an artistic gymnast instead of a power gymnast. And Payson is very against it. She's like, I'm not graceful, I don't have that petite body type for that kind of thing, like, that'll never be me. And then her and her mom have a bit of a fight. She's being very teenage girly, which, I mean, she is a teenage girl. She's like, I don't know how this affects you, it's my life. And Kim's like, bro, we literally almost went bankrupt and had to move our entire lives from one state to another for you, for your dream. How would that not be affecting my life? And Kim's like, all I want from you is to try, just do what your coach wants and see how it goes instead of just giving up, because that is not the daughter I raised. Steve tells Chloe that his mother popped into town randomly and he wants her to have dinner with them. And Chloe is so touched because no one has ever wanted her to meet their mom before. So she's really excited about that. And then the next day at practice, Austin wants to put the men's high bar in the gym, in the main gym, instead of like the annex, which is where most of the men's equipment is. And because it's all cold out there and stuff. And the girls have had enough. And they start arguing if men's or women's gymnastics is best or harder. Austin suggests a little friendly competition to decide where the high bar goes. So basically, the girls will do men's routines on men apparatuses, and the men will do female apparatuses, and they'll compete and have the assistant coaches judge, and whoever wins will decide where the high bars go. And Sasha agrees to this. He loves nothing more than a little competition. So each team gets to decide who on the other team will do what routine. So they have Austin do beam, Carter doing uneven bars, Lauren doing rings, Emily doing parallel bars, and they have a third guy that I've never seen before. And they tell him to do something, but he chickens out, and so Austin says, I think it was floor. So Austin says he'll do floor if Kaylee does floor, men's floor, which apparently is like 3 times as many tumbles as women. So I'll agree. And cue the training compilation of all of them practicing each other's routines, and they're all like getting like, okay, low-key, this is kind of dangerous. Austin, like, they'll learn their routines. And then Chloe wants Emily to go with her to dinner at the Tanners because she really wants to impress Steve's mom, and she says Emily is like the most impressive thing about her, so she wants her to go with her. Chloe shows up looking very classy, which is a little bit different from her normal, which is the picture I chose, which also is not a good picture. Also probably just looks like a blob. Having an ink problem. And Lauren is pissed that she's not wearing one of her hoochie mama dresses. Meanwhile, Kim takes Payson and Becca, her sister, she takes them out to ice skate to kind of bring them back to earth and do something fun instead of like work at the gym every day. And Payson is talking about how she just thinks she's not physically built to be an artistic gymnast, and she talks about something from her childhood, about how she was cast as a man in a play, and that's just how her life is. And at the dinner at the Tanners, Lauren is desperately trying to embarrass Chloe in front of her grandma. Lauren mentions that the visit has been planned for weeks, and that it is only thanks to her that Gran even knew about Chloe because Steve wasn't going to tell her. And Chloe is obviously very hurt by this because he lied about the timing and about telling her. And so Emily makes an excuse for them and they leave. And Gran is the goat, honestly. She talks to Lauren and she's like, there is nothing sadder than a lady with no class. And she tells her that true class is having graciousness no matter what, even if someone is setting you up and undermining you. And she goes on to say, and I saw 2 women with true class tonight, and the one who was lacking was you. Because Lauren, of course, as usual, was being a bitch. I don't like using that word. I don't like calling women that word. But if the shoe fits, Lauren, good Lord. So, Lauren has been chastised. Next day, it is time for the girls versus boys competition at practice. Kaylee makes a comment to Austin that they saw him basically neuter himself on the beam yesterday. So that was really fun. And they all do their routines relatively well. It's kind of comedy. It's pretty good. Meanwhile, Chloe confronts Steve. Thinks the real reason that Steve doesn't want people to know about them is because he's ashamed of her and that he is lucky a woman like her gives him the time of day. Snaps Chloe, like, yes, girl, have some dignity. I love to see it. And to prove her wrong, Steve pulls her inside and announces their relationship to the entire gym. And and Sasha makes a comment to Summer about maybe people's types do change. And then they announce the winner of the boys versus girls competition, and the boys actually won, which... And Austin, he kind of gets a little bit vulnerable with Kaylee sometimes, and they end up compromising about where the gym equipment should be placed, and then he immediately turns back into a douche. So that's just his vibe right now. He gets better. So the girls are all going to Kaylee's house, and Lauren is not invited. And she lies, and she's like, I have plans anyway with Carter. And she looks all butthurt and stuff. And well, if it isn't the consequences of one's own actions. And that's the end of episode 3. Now moving on to episode 4. And it starts off with Emily looking in the fridge and seeing that they actually have fresh groceries for once, which makes me really sad. Like, come on. Which is, the reality for many people, like 40 million people right now who cannot access their SNAP benefits. So, sometimes life imitates art. Donate to your local food pantries if you can. Just a little PSA. So, and what's also sadder is, like, they only have this food because of Steve Tanner. And Chloe also got her a custom leotard. It's, like, beautiful and white and sparkly. And we also learned that they are going to be having the Rocky Awards, like, that night or, like, that week, which are, like, an awards show that The Rock puts on to, like, honor the gymnasts and the families and workers and coaches and such. And Sasha asks Summer, referring to Steve, he's like, out of morbid curiosity, what did you ever see in that guy? And she's like, oh, well, he's kind, and he went to church with me, and we both believe in the sanctity of marriage. And Sasha tells her that he does not believe in God. But also, Steve does not believe in the sanctity of marriage. I thought if you believed in the sanctity of marriage, like, you don't get divorced, because he's definitely got divorced. Anyways, so yeah, Summer doesn't like that Sasha does not believe in God. she loves God. So Lauren is, doing her own form of campaigning, bringing hair barrettes to all the girls at the gym, and she's trying to campaign for that year's Rocky Award, which the whole gym votes on. It's basically like a congeniality award. And she sees Emily's new leotard and gets jealous because she's like, I haven't even seen that pattern yet. And so Emily tells them about her sponsorship and how she was able to get the leotard. And also that day, Sasha has started pacing on her new training schedule, which she has finally agreed to try out. And he puts her with the younger girls because she needs to remaster her basic skills from a new artistic point of view, you know what I mean? And if you guys, by this point, we know Payson, she's not happy about this. And Kaylee's parents, Alex and Ronnie, they are at the gym that day, like dropping off pictures that are going to be used at the Rocky Awards later. And they are being quite cordial and, like, joking and bantering with each other. And Kaylee says she thinks it's only a matter of time before they're back together, because obviously they were separated because of the cheating scandal. And Lauren hears Sasha, like, compliment Emily on her gymnastics, and she gets, like, visibly jealous. Like, I just don't know what goes through this girl's head. Like, people are allowed to be good at things. It doesn't take away from your goodness. And Lauren hired, like, the Spruce Juice, which is their local smoothie place. They have, like, a truck, like a food truck kind of thing. And so she hired the truck to come and give free smoothies to the gymnasts. And she also hears the, like, younger girls talking about how cool Emily's new leotard is. And Classic Lauren, what does she do? She takes a tray of smoothies over to Kaylee, Emily, and Payson and purposefully spills them all over Emily's new, like, bone white leotard. And listen, as a fellow girl who grew up quite humbly and who only got name brand high-end things if they were hand-me-downs or, secondhand, that hurt me. Like, I know what it feels like to buy something valuable at full price. Like, I would only ever get things like that at Christmas or my birthday, and it was like the best day ever. I would take such good care of them because I knew that they were worth a lot and that my family, how much went into getting that for me, So if I had something like that and a rich girl who I knew wanted for nothing came and ruined like one of my only nice things, I would have swung on her. Emily's a better person than me. Because you're going to disrespect me, you're going to disrespect my whole family? No. We are not about to do that. Payson is also been bitten by the jealous bug and is getting a bit jealous of her sister Becca because she's like doing all these high skills and like surpassing Payson while she's stuck doing like level 1 skills. Chloe calls Lauren a selfish little monster the next day before practice. And y'all see, this is why I love this woman. Look, okay, as an adult, you probably shouldn't be arguing with a teenager. Like, that's a little bit of a bad look. But, like, if someone is that as bad of a person as her, like, honestly warranted. Everyone's like, it was an accident. And Chloe says, honey, if you can balance on a 4-inch beam, I'm sure you can balance a 24-ounce smoothie. Yes, Chloe, get her again for me, please. And then Steve and Chloe start arguing a bit about their daughters and their ability to win the Rocky Award, which prompts Chloe to start campaigning for Emily, who does not give a f*** about this award, let's be clear. And Kaylee is trying really hard to get a round-off Arabian mount onto bars, which is a move that only Genji Cho, who is the star of the Chinese team, she's the only one in the world who can do it. And Sasha's like, no. That is not the move for someone like you. Like, with your body type, Genji is like super, super tiny and petite. Like, that's why she can do it. Like, it is not for someone of your stature. And Steve and Lauren, meanwhile, keep throwing money at the girls to get the votes. They hire like masseuses to come. And Chloe decides to offer free mani-pedis and waxing because she works at a salon and knows how to do all that. And so Summer comes out to tell Chloe that she's acting like a child for arguing with a teenager. And Chloe's like, that girl is a bully, and you know it more than anyone. And Summer, on her moral high horse, is like, yes, I do know she's a bully, but I also know what she needs is a good example of parenting. And you know what, Summer, why don't we tell Steve that, the man who is actually her parent? And Summer's like, I know that Steve loves Lauren, but he can't say no to her ever since her mom left, and that Lauren doesn't need someone to put her in her place. She needs someone to understand her. And if that is true, Summer, why don't you do it? Like, Chloe is not that girl's mom. Like, she has her own kids to worry about. Anyways, Kaylee is doing a lot of conditioning after practice that day, 98 minutes on the elliptical, and her dad comes in and kind of calls her out on it, and she's like, I need to be more aerodynamic to get the round-off Arabian mount. So that night is the Rocky Awards, and the gym managers, Summer and Kim, are hosting it. And Summer did not know about this. Like, I don't know why no one told her that she would have to give a speech, so she is completely unprepared because she gets like bad stage fright. And so Kim suggests that she start drinking some wine to help her loosen up a little bit. And then Steve and Chloe apologize to each other for getting so defensive about their daughters. And Summer gets drunk off her ass. It's really funny. And then Alex comes in and to the banquet and sees Steve there, and he's like, who would have thought when we founded this gym, our daughter would be the national champion and gymnast of the year, and your daughter, well, I'm sure she'll win something one day. Okay, Alex. I don't know what prompted that, but I can't say I didn't like it. That comment then prompts Steve to take the ballot box for the Rocky Award, and I'm sure he stuffed it with votes for Lauren. They don't show that, but it's kind of implied later. So the awards start, and the girls, all 4 of them, perform a song together for Sasha, and it is to the tune of America the Beautiful. I'm not gonna say much more on that because it is insanely cringe and I honestly don't want to remember it. But Lauren does take the mic at the end and do a solo while the other girls are just like, okay, sure. Summer gets on stage to like make a speech or announce something, and she is making a fool of herself because she is so drunk. And then they have a part where like the parents of the elite gymnasts, is Mark here? I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe. The parents of the elite gymnasts all say something about their daughters. So I think Kim goes first, and then Steve goes. And instead of saying something nice about Lauren, he turns it into him like campaigning for his run for president of the parents board. And Lauren's face just like falls. Like, again, and Steve, really, like, you threw this whole campaign party, and like you couldn't have done this there. And it's just like really awkward. And Lauren's visibly upset, and Chloe comes up next to talk about Emily, and she does. And then she also adds in something nice about Lauren because she obviously took into account what Summer said about needing someone to support her. And then Lauren wins the Rocky Award. And everyone kind of like slow claps because they're like, is this a joke? Because no one really voted for her. Her dad definitely rigged that for her. But she gets up on stage and gives a long speech. Like the way they edit it, it's like the fade away and then it comes back and then it fades away and then it comes back. So it's like hinting that it took forever. And then Becca, Payson's sister, won most promising junior award. And Payson kind of like congratulates her, but you can tell she's like a little upset because again her jealousy is coming out, and she leaves the table. And Sasha follows her out, and Payson said, like, I am so angry all of the time. She's angry at Kaylee and at her own sister for like passing her by and for like beating her at nationals. And Sasha's like, look, you're a champion. You have the heart of a champion. I will believe in you as long as you keep showing up. So Kaylee then is like sitting at the table, and her dad's coat is on his chair, and she finds divorce papers in his pocket of this coat. Why were they there? I don't know. But it kind of ruins her moment because then they have a presentation for her Gymnast of the Year award, and it kind of just like ruins the whole vibe. But she goes up and gives a speech where she talks about her parents and how they were always there for her, and she puts a lot of emphasis on both of you together because she's very obviously shook up about the divorce papers. And they think it's the end, but Sasha's like, up. There is one more award, and it is a new award. It is the Championship Cup, and it is going to be named after its first recipient, who is Payson Keeler. So it is the Payson Keeler Award, and it is the award for the gymnast who has the mentality of a champion. And they show a compilation of other like in real life famous gymnasts talking about how amazing she is and things like that. So she feels a lot better about her new journey that she's on. So Kaylee and her parents get home, and she's like talking to them about the divorce papers, and she's like, you guys are just giving up. And they say they just can't make their marriage work. And she's like, my award and my national championship means nothing if it costs me my family. And Alex is like, sweetie, like our divorce has nothing to do with you. And Kaylee's like, honestly, this is Oscar-worthy performance from Josie. I think that's her name, her actor name. I am your daughter. Your decision to end your marriage should have everything to do with me. She delivered that line like rent was due. And she's like, I saw you guys this week. You were happy. So she begs them over and over again to just wait 6 more months and see if they can feel again what she thinks she saw in them. Ronnie agrees, and then Alex finally caves as well. So then Sasha drives Summer home because she's obviously drunk. And while he's dropping her off, they end up kissing. And then the episode ends with Kaylee like doing more conditioning on the elliptical that night, like a lot. So that's end of episode 4. Now on to episode 5. So it opens with Kaylee on the elliptical again, and it says she's been doing it for like 8.3 miles. That's a lot of miles. And she has a poster of Genji Cho that she's like facing, that's on the wall, and it has like a funny face drawn on it, and it's giving obsession. So her dad comes in and says he's there to get stuff to move into his new apartment. And Kaylee's upset because he's been staying in the guest house until then, and this just means her parents are getting more separated. And Kaylee tells him that she wants him to be her manager again. Like, she's clearly trying to keep him around so that she can force her parents to be together. And Ronnie comes in and they tell her this, and like her face falls too, because she's like, oh, you guys are gonna be a team again. And Kaylee notices, and she's like, no, I want you to be my manager too. Like, since you were in show business, because she was a singer, you can handle my PR, and Dad can handle like the sports side of things since he was an athlete. So they agree, and Alex looks a little iffy, but they all agree. They show Lauren and Carter making out, and Lauren asks him if their whole relationship is about sex. And he says, no, it's about safe sex. Which is funny. However, that's the wrong audience. Lauren's not gonna like that. And Lauren gets mad, obviously. And she brings up that he used to do all these like romantic things for Kaylee, like with the jewelry and flowers and stuff like that, and dates. And he's like, well, I was with her for over a year. And she's like, I'm risking so much to be with you, and it would all be worth it if you said you loved me. He's like, I care about you very much. So that's awkward. And then Austin Tucker's back at the Rock that day, pulls up again on his motorcycle, but this time he's got a girl on the back. And Kaylee, Lauren, and Payson see them roll up, and the girl takes her helmet off, and it's Emily. And the girls are just standing there like kind of gobsmacked, and Kaylee goes on a rant about Emily and how it's suspicious. Austin is always swoops in to save her. And that day at practice, they're going to be planning their new floor routines to get ready for world team tryouts. They're going to only do the dance section of their routines to really refine those parts, and then they're going to perform them on Friday. And Payson's routine is very different from what she's used to, because it's going to be more artistic and a lot more emphasis on the dance parts. And Lauren tells her dad that she's going to call Lacey Grimes herself to get her to choreograph her new routine, because that's the best gymnastics choreographer in the business right now. And Ronnie sees Chloe and Steve kissing in the hallway. And she says, well, this must be how Satan amuses himself in his free time. Chloe mentions that she needs to be doing more to manage Emily to better set her up for success. And Steve's like, well, they're learning new floor routines, maybe hire her choreographer. So Chloe goes and asks Summer if she knows any good choreographers, because she wants to hire one for Emily. And who does Summer suggest? Lacey Grimes. Right. So later that afternoon, Lauren is like about to call Lacey, but she gets interrupted by Carter, who brought her flowers, and they plan to go on like a little picnic date to have like a real date that is not something centered around sex. So I think Kaylee's in her car, and she sees them like making out in Carter's car. She's obviously hurt and distracted, and goes to like back her car up, and then almost backs into Austin. He's like, whoa. And he notices like what she was looking at, and he's like, want to make him jealous? Yeah. I can say that because he's not a teenager. Like, I'm pretty sure this actor is like 30 years old here. Like, he looks old. So anyways, she's like, your game isn't working on me, so stay away from me, stay away from Emily, or Sasha will kick you out of the gym, because he's done it before. And then later that night, Kaylee is back on the elliptical. I think it says like 10 miles or something. And her mom comes in and plays her this new song that some guy from some record label who she knows made for her to use for her routine. And it's like kind of like rocky, poppy. Like, it's not really Kaylee's vibe, I don't think. But she's like, oh yeah, that's great. And Chloe tells Emily that she hired Lacey Grimes and that it costs $2,000. And Emily's like, no, we cannot afford that. I'm going to send her away as soon as she gets there tomorrow. And at the Rock, Summer finds tickets to the ballet in Sasha's desk and thinks that Sasha's gonna ask her on a date to the ballet. And then Payson is practicing her new routine, and she's like laughing because she's not a ballerina and she's not like a flowery, girly girl, and she's like, I can't do these moves. Like, they're not me. And then Kaylee is doing her routine to her new song. And Alex is there and he hears the song. He's like, Ronnie, what the f is this music? And she's like, oh, my friend made it. Don't you? Isn't it awesome? He's like, she's a serious gymnast. She needs like something classical. And Ronnie's like, no, 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 no. So they decide to have a business dinner that night with Kaylee to discuss it. And at practice, Austin invites Emily and Kaylee to a party that night, but they decline. And Lauren tells them that she just left a message for Lacey Grimes. And poof, immediately she walks in and Lauren's like, oh my God, she must have gotten my message and rushed right over to work with me. And she like goes up and introduces herself and she's like, actually, I'm here for Emily. And Lauren is pissed. So Emily starts her routine with Lacey and she's like very much struggling with the choreo because she doesn't have a strong dance background and the moves are pretty advanced. And she talks about how like the style is new to her and Lacey's like being very rude. Like, well, I'm paying you $2,000 and you're gonna talk like this to me? No, I don't think so. Aren't choreographers supposed to play to the dancer's strengths for the most part? Like, I don't know much about that world, but like that seems like something that they should do. You shouldn't give her a routine that she can't do, right? Anyways, Lauren is watching all of this and like, oh, I can't believe she can't do the moves. And she goes to her dad to complain that Emily stole her choreographer, and Lauren's like, how did Chloe even know to get one? And realizes that Steve was the one who told Chloe to hire a choreographer. And Steve's like, well, I told you to call Lacey right away. What were you doing that was so important that you couldn't call her? She's like, studying. And then Sasha comes into the office, or Summer and Kim are, and asks Summer what she's doing later that night. She's like, oh my God, he's gonna ask her on a date. He asked if she's free tonight and she's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, good, I need you to babysit the gym because Emily's gonna be late working on her routine. And then he turns to Kim and asks if what Payson's doing that night and if she can go to the ballet with him so she can get some inspiration for her routine. That night, Sasha picks up Payson. Okay guys, look, he's like wearing like a suit and he comes in and Payson's all dressed up in her dress and it's very much giving prom. You know what I mean? Like the cliche moment in movies where the guy comes to pick the girl up and he's got a corsage and she comes down the stairs and he's like it's giving that, and it's weird. It's a little weird, I must say. Like, why are we adding all of this romantic tension in between a gymnastics coach and his teenage gymnast? Like, what are we doing, ABC Family? I don't know if we should be promoting that, although this is the same people that made Pretty Little Liars, so can't be too shocked, I guess. And then at the business dinner, Alex and Ronnie are arguing and Kaylee tries to stop it and she's like, let's just blend the two songs together, okay? And compromise. And they agree. Kaylee's like barely eating and her mom like calls her out for it, and she like puts a piece of carrot in her mouth to like pretend to eat and then spits into her napkin. And then at the Rock, Emily is practicing her routine and Austin comes in to do some extra practice too and asks her to get pizza with him at the Shack, and she agrees. Payson is at ballet and she realizes that the ballerina on stage is the same girl that she talked to outside with Sasha, who he's friends with. And she was like dressed very plainly, like kind of just like a normal girl. Like she wasn't giving ballerina vibes. And Payson didn't think she was a ballerina at all. She thought she like worked behind the stage. But also I must point out that there's in no world is a ballerina who is starring in a ballet showing up right before the show starts. Like, there's no way. Like, I'm sure they have to be there all day for like warm-ups and makeup and hair and things like that. Like, there's no way that's realistic. So anyways, Payson's like shook because she didn't look like the typical ballerina, and so it kind of like makes her think, oh, maybe I could do that too in her routine. So at the Pizza Shack, Emily finds out that Austin lied about having a party, and he's like, yeah, being a party boy is just kind of part of my image. It's not really who I am. And then they talk about money, and Emily's like, I'm not comfortable spending money like you. And he's like, that's why you're struggling with the moves, because they were expensive. And you need to believe that you are worth the $2,000 that went into buying them, basically. And Lauren shows up at the Pizza Shack too, see Carter, and sees that Emily and Austin are together and gets all smug because she thinks like she's going to pull one over on Kaylee about boy stuff. Carter tells Lauren that All she has to do is go on the mat and prove that she is better than Emily. Like, that's it. Just, you don't have to sabotage no one. Just go out there and prove it. If you're better, then be better. And yeah, good point. Again, the only one with sense. And I hate to say that about him because I don't like him. But Summer's being all weird in front of Sasha because of the ticket misunderstanding. And Kim tells Sasha, where the fuck is Sasha? Kim tells Sasha that she's like, Summer likes you. And if you like her, can you just ask her out already? I love me a wing woman, Kim. Like, you go, girl. Lauren brags, as in lies, about, in front of Kaylee, about how Carter told her he loved her. Yeah, okay, you wish. And Payson asks Sasha if she can pass on the dance presentation because she's realized that she's not ready to find the grace from within yet, but she will be one day. And Kaylee does her routine to the mashed up music that they compromised on, and it is awful. Like, the moves that they choreographed to that is just like, she like looks like a chicken at one point. It's just and her parents are like, what did we do to our daughter? And everyone's faces during her routine are so funny. So then Lauren gets up to do her routine, and Lauren, being Lauren, does Emily's choreography that Lacey Grimes choreographed for her. And Emily's like, what the hell am I supposed to do now? She like does her choreography and makes it like sultry. Like, Lauren, there's parents here, let's tone it down. Emily's like, what the hell? I can't go out after that, like, and do the moves that I aren't me. And Austin gives her a pep talk and hypes her up and tells her to go out there and make the money her family spent worth it by killing it. And so she goes out there and kills it and gets a standing ovation. And Ronnie and Alex come up to Kaylee and they tell her to do the other person's music choice, and then they start arguing about that too. And Kaylee's like, oh my god. And then Carter gets pissed at Lauren for stealing Emily's choreography because he's like, you're a piece of shit. He says, your bad side is really scary, and that's why I can't tell you I love you, because you go out and do stuff like you just did to Emily. Like, I don't love that. Which, hey, I mean, you'd think she learned something from this. She doesn't. So Sasha takes Kim's advice and asks Summer on a date, and she says yes. And then Payson does her routine when she's all alone later in the gym, and she eats. So that is how episode 5 ends. And then episode 6, Lauren wakes up in an empty bed in her garage attic because clearly Carter never showed up. And she sneaks down. It's like 5 a.m. and sees Chloe sneaking out of their house and asks her dad, if you have women over for sex, that means I can have boys sneaking in for sex. And her dad's like, no, absolutely not. Like, I don't know if it's here, but he says at one point, like, if she has sex with boys, like, he's gonna cut her off, like, money wise. He's like, no, that doesn't mean that. Like, I'm an adult, you're a child. And she's like, well, you have nothing to worry about because I'm a virgin and planning on staying one. Oh, interesting. And then they show Kaylee on the elliptical again. Girl, how do you not get bored? And she's like weighing herself and measuring herself and like noting them down in a notebook. And I think at this point it's at like 102 pounds is what she's at. I can't remember what it started at. And she eats like half a banana and then throws the rest out. So Chloe is back at her house in like a robe, and she's like pretending like she didn't sneak in. And Emily and Brian are like messing with her, give her like kind of like the sex talk. Well, as long as you're being safe, blah blah, and love each other, blah 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 blah. Because they know she didn't come home. At the gym, at the Rock that day, Sasha and Summer are being like kind of awkward with each other because they're like the date, like there's the whole undertones of that they're gonna be going on a date, and they're like trying to flirt with each other. Sasha finally just asks if she'd like to have dinner with him that night, and they agree not to tell anyone because it's nobody's business. And the girls are talking, and Austin comes over and asks them if they would like to come to a party at his lake house that afternoon. And he tells them that like some of his fellow Olympians are going to be there, like Bodie Miller, Shaun White, Evan Lysacek, and this piques Payson's interest because she loves an athlete. She loves a winner, not for dating purposes, but for like getting inspired, you know? And Kaylee's like, no, we are not going. Lauren, of course, is all for it and says she will be there. And after Austin walks away, they talk about the last time they were at a party, and Kaylee's like, it got way out of hand. And Payson's like, no, you got way out of hand, Kaylee. And Lauren's like, yeah, I can't stand Kaylee. And Kaylee's like, let's not forget who lost their virginity to my boyfriend. Right, Lauren? Right. So Sasha actually gives them the next day off so that they can rest before they get serious about training for Worlds. Lauren's like, perfect. That means I can go to a party and not feel bad about, if I stay out late for practice tomorrow. But Kaylee says no days off and gets Emily and Payson to agree to practice anyways and like to go for a run that next morning because as team captain, it's her job to keep them on their game. Lauren talks to Carter at the gym and she's like, where were you last night? And he says, I didn't think you'd expect me to show up after our fight. And he's like, I don't suppose you even bothered to apologize. Like, I don't think it even occurred to you to apologize to Emily. He's like, honestly, your behavior is a turnoff. And Lauren's like, you want to talk about a turnoff? Mr. Nice Guy, who always finishes last around here, isn't exactly a turn on. And she's like, maybe the Olympians at Austin's party will be turned on by a competitive woman. And Austin later tells Emily that his feelings are hurt, that she won't be coming to his party now that they have a day off tomorrow. And they talk about Kaylee, and Austin refers to her as Commandant Cruz and says like she's trying to control everyone. And Kaylee's watching this and comes over to him and tells him she's tired of him trying to pressure her girls into going to his party. And he's like, well, why are you scared of having a little fun? She's like, you might loosen up, drink a beer, do a keg stand. She's like, how do you know about that? And he's like, I bet a week's worth of cleaning the mats that your girls are going to slip through your fingers and come to my party. And who knows, you might even show up too. To stop this from happening, she invites them to her house after practice to rewatch Worlds from a couple years ago or something. And Emily says she can't since she's got to help Brian with a project for school that night. Payson agrees to go to Kaylee's house. And then Lauren puts it into Kaylee's head that Emily was lying about the project. And she's like, didn't you see her eyes light up when he invited us? Like, there's no way she's missing that part. Chloe tries to talk to Lauren about what she saw that morning and tells her like that nothing happened and she just fell asleep. And Lauren's like, yeah, fell asleep after hours of having sex with my father. And she's like, now that you mention it, I did hear some high-pitched squeals, but I thought it was just a cat in heat. And Chloe's like, listen here, Missy. I know you ran Summer off with your sass, but I am not that easy to get rid of. And they like beef for a second, and it's like, are we really doing this? And Summer comes out just as Chloe's walking away, and Lauren, feeling threatened by Chloe, who's not, bowing down to her, goes up to Summer, crying to her, like, Chloe has been sleeping with my dad and flaunting it in my face. And if it's okay for them to be having casual sex, that must mean it's okay for me to have casual sex. And Summer's like, Lauren, no. What would God say about this? And she's like, I thought we talked about this when you lost your virginity to Carter. You said you'd wait for marriage for the next time. Also, like, if you've done it before marriage, only, like, already, does it really matter if you do it again in the eyes of Christianity? I don't know. Anyways, and Lauren's like, yes, but I need you to get back with my dad so I actually have a good role model in my life because we both need a positive influence. And she's like, it's not like you're seeing someone else, right? And Summer's like, no. So that afternoon, Kaylee and Payson are at Kaylee's house, and she's back on the elliptical, and they're watching the old gymnastics competition. And Payson's like, are you sure you're not overtraining? Kaylee mentions that she thinks Emily was lying, so they call her house to check if she's there. And Brian answers the phone, and Kaylee's like, is Emily there? And Brian's like, no, she went to the store. Kaylee is immediately suspicious and thinks that Emily is at the party and lied to her and had Brian lie for her too. So they call Emily's cell phone, and it goes straight to voicemail. And Kaylee's like, there's only one way to find out. we have to go to this party. Payson's like, sure. So Sasha and Summer go on their date. It's like the local fancy restaurant that Steve always goes to. Le Privilege, I think is what it's called. And the waiter knew Summer by name. And Sasha's like, oh. And she's like, yeah, I used to come here a lot with Steve. She's like, I feel bad because I told Lauren a fib. And Sasha's like, a fib? Because she lied to her about not seeing anyone, but she's seeing Sasha. And then after Lauren told her about Steve and Chloe sleeping together, she didn't want to upset her anymore. Sasha's like, oh, so that's what this is about. Are you sure you're not upset about that he's sleeping with someone? Mr. believes in the sanctity of marriage. And she's like, no, I'm just upset about the message it sends to Lauren. And Summer's like, okay, I'm not going to talk about my ex anymore. However, who walks into Le Privilege? Steve and Chloe. It's their 3-month anniversary, and they are there to celebrate that. Kaylee and Payson arrive to Austin's party. And they just kind of park, and Katie's like, we gotta be sneaky because I will never hear the end of it from him or Lauren if I'm spotted at this party. So Payson's like, okay, if we're sneaking around, I'm just gonna stay in the car. And so Kaylee like climbs up on this like cement wall that's surrounding the like backyard of his house and to spy, and she sees Lauren like flirting with other guys and like very clearly trying to get Carter's attention and failing. And she's like, interesting. So while she's doing that, she falls over the wall and lands on a bunch of bags of trash on the ground. And who spots her? Oh, just Austin, who she didn't want to be embarrassed in front of. And that's what you get, Kaylee. They then cut back to the restaurant, and Sasha, to make it look like they're not doing anything wrong by being there together, he sends a bottle of champagne over to Steve and Chloe's table. And then back at the party, Austin brings Kaylee a beer, and she lies about her reason for coming to the party and says she just wanted to show everyone that the fun-loving Kaylee is not dead. And she asks if Emily's there, and Austin's like, no, she told me she couldn't come. And Lauren sees them conversing and, of course, snaps a pic and sends it off straight to Emily. I don't know, she just likes to pit them against each other. Because if they're fighting each other, then they're not focused on beating her. I don't know. And back at the restaurant, Steve and Chloe are talking about Sasha and Summer, and Steve's like, they've got to be on a date, right? And Chloe's like, I can't believe Sasha would go for someone like Summer when he could have had me. And Steve's like, he could have had you? What are you talking about? And Chloe backtracks and is like, I mean, someone like me, you know, like someone sexy. And Steve, ever the man to put his foot in his mouth, says, I think Summer's sexy. Do you know women at all? No, you don't. They're like, we should go over and thank them for the champagne. So they go over to Summer and Sasha's table. Sasha lies and says they're on a rock manager appreciation dinner. And Steve's like, so you don't appreciate Kim? And at that exact moment, Kim pops up at the restaurant right next to the table and is like, oh, traffic was a bear. And like sits down at the table where they conveniently, I guess, had someone set up another place setting. I don't know. And so Steve and Chloe walk away, and Sasha says he texted Kim under the table to show up. And then back at the party, Lauren goes up to Kaylee and is like, well, I knew those promise rings were a sham. And Payson finally came in the party because she got tired of waiting, and she sees that Shaun White is actually there. And Kaylee's like, well, we should just go because Emily's not even here. And I'm an idiot. And Payson's like, yeah, you are, but now that we're here, I need to go talk to Shaun White. Lauren goes off somewhere, I don't know. Carter comes up to Kaylee at the party. Another keg stand joke is made. And Kaylee's like, well, you cheated on me at that party, so what now? Then she gets all serious and she's like, I have to know, why did you choose Lauren over me? And he says it's because Lauren wanted him. And he felt like she just wanted control. I didn't really see that back then. I mean, maybe, but like, that's not really the vibes I was getting from their relationship, but whatever. I think it goes along with her storyline this season about giving up control and whatnot. And they look over and see Lauren playing Twister with some hot men, and Kaylee's like, well, it looks like your new girlfriend has all the control now. Or you don't care that she flirts with other guys right in front of you. And then Carter just kind of walks away because, like, what are you going to say with that? Then Emily shows up at the party and Kaylee's like, aha! And Emily's like, I literally only came because Lauren sent me a picture of you here. And then Lauren and Payson come over and they all have a chat about how controlling Kaylee's being. And Kaylee's like, Payson, you are team captain. Tell them how a leader should act. And Payson's like, a leader should lead by example. She counsels, she doesn't command. And Kaylee's like, well, me, I guess. I'm going to lead by example and leave. So she leaves. Payson goes to find Bodie Miller. And Lauren and Emily decide to play a game of Twister. And they bet that whoever loses has to do whatever the winner says. Back at Les Privileges, Summer runs into Chloe in the bathroom. And Chloe had just received a scarf from Steve as their 3-month anniversary gift. And Summer's like, oh, I love your scarf. And Chloe's like, thank you. Steve gave it to me for our 3-month anniversary. And Summer's like, oh, yeah, it's his go-to gift. I have a drawer full of them. Summer, have some decorum. Summer, she definitely literally just complimented the scarf and asked about it because she wanted to make that comment. Why else would you do that? You obviously knew it didn't match her dress at all. You obviously knew it was new. Okay. Chloe, ever the graceful person and with adults only, not with children, says, well, it's the only one I have and I love it. And Chloe sees that Summer is being testy and calls it out, and Summer's like, the only problem I have is with you spending the night at a man's house who has a teenage daughter under his roof. Girl, this is not your business. I know you like to play mommy to Lauren, but this is not your business. I don't want to hear your opinion. Didn't ask for it, actually. She is just her best moments are when she's with Sasha, but even then, this hoity-toity, holier-than-thou attitude she has towards everyone is just so, you're giving Christians a bad name. I know not all Christians are like this, but, you're giving them a bad name. And she's like, I'm questioning your judgment because you're sending a message to both of your daughters that sex is okay. And by the way, Summer, sex is okay. All right? I said it. It's okay. As long as there's 2 consenting adults in the situation, hey, have it. I just find it so rich because she's not a virgin. She's had sex many times when she was a teenager. She's a born again virgin, which I've met some of those. I had a new one in college. It's not. I don't trust you. I just don't. Anyways, enough of a summer rant. Back at the party, Austin finds Kaylee when she's walking to her car, and she's like, I bet you think I'm a real dork now, only coming to your party to look for Emily. And he's like, no, I think you're just under a lot of pressure. He's being very understanding. And they have a little bonding moment about being on top and how hard it is to stay there, and about how Kaylee genuinely wants her teammates to do well. She's no and Lauren. She genuinely wants them all to make it together to the Olympics. The old fun-loving, boy-crazy Kaylee wasn't a winner, and I don't know how to balance both parts of me. And he's like, sometimes it helps to just stop thinking. And she's like, I don't know how to do that. And so he kisses her. And he's like, what are you thinking about now? She's like, nothing. And he's like, that's how. And he's like, see you at the Rock.
Seeing chemistry.
And he thanks her for coming to his party no matter what the reason. And he walks away, and as Kaylee's walking away, she sees cop cars pulling up in all directions. And she's like, oh, fuck. Meanwhile, back at the party, Emily and Lauren are still playing Twister. Lauren ends up winning and says the thing that she's going to make Emily do is accept her apology for stealing her choreography and for ruining her leotard. She's literally only doing this because Carter's standing there watching and she wants him to like her. She doesn't give a if Emily accepts her apology. She's not even sorry. I don't even believe. I'm sorry. I'm getting angry. Okay. And Kaylee runs up to them and she's like, guys, cops are here. We gotta sneak out. And they're like, we're not even drinking though. It doesn't matter. And she's like, but there is underage drinking here. And if Sasha somehow finds out that we were at this party, we'll be dead. The cops are blocking all the road exits. So what do? They escape by jumping into the lake because it's a lake house, remember? And swimming God knows where and getting out at a different area. And then Sasha drops Summer off after their date. They have a conversation about what a disaster their first date was. And Summer's like, I just don't want anyone to get hurt. And Sasha's like, Lauren, don't you think it's worse if she thinks that there's a chance for you to get back with her father? But she's like, I just want Lauren to have a good role model in her life. And honestly, Summer, you gave that position up when you broke up with her dad. And it's just not your business anymore. Like, I get you care about her, but like, if you want to be that role model, be the role model without dating Steve. Like, just be sort of like a mentor. You don't need to. But anyways, they end up kissing, so I guess it's a good sign. The girls make it out of the lake at a different area, and they talk about achieving their dreams and friendship and puppies and rainbows and kittens. And Kaylee apologizes for how intense she's been lately and how controlling she's been, and she's not sure how to be a good leader, and that when Sasha told her that all of their failures are her responsibility, she really took that seriously. And Payson's like, he should not have put that on you. Like, our mistakes are our mistakes. We are all responsible for our own actions. Haley's like, okay, let's throw our damn promise rings into the lake, and we're starting fresh, and I will be better leader from now on. So Chloe took into account what Summer told her, and she talks to Steve about having sex and setting a good example, and they decide that they are going to be exclusive and that they are only going to have sex at hotels, so not at the house anymore where their children live. They're at home at this point, at Steve's home. Chloe's like, let's have fried ice cream. I know how to make it if you've got a wok or a deep fryer. And Steve's like, I have one of those things in the garage attic. Chloe's like, okay, I'll go get it. So she opens the door to the garage attic, and sees Lauren and Carter in bed together naked. That is when the episode ends. Episode 6. Episode 7 next starts with the girls all working out in Kaylee's home gym, and national team practice is the next day at the Rock, and Ellen Beals is going to be there, Marty's going to be there. Lauren comes home and Chloe's there, and Lauren asks her if she told her dad about seeing her and Carter, and Chloe says no, but someone has to, because you can't expect me to hide this. And Lauren plays the victim and pulls the I don't have a mommy card. Like, Lauren, I would feel bad for you if I genuinely thought you cared. I'm sure it's affected you in ways, I'm sure. I mean, we can see that, but when you pull it out of your ass to use in moments like this, like, I can't feel sorry for you. She's like, I just need a mother figure to talk to, and about sex and stuff, and manipulates Chloe into not telling by actually being nice for once. And Chloe just wants to, like, connect with Steve's daughter because she genuinely likes him and wants Lauren to like her. And then later, Steve gives Chloe a key to their house. After 3 months of dating, kind of crazy, right? I don't know. Maybe old people, their timeline moves a little differently. Sorry, they're not that old. Chloe's not. Steve is. But Chloe comes home, and Emily's there, and she's upset because she tried to shower, but there was no hot water because someone, Chloe, forgot to pay the water bill. And she's like, how was Richie Richland? Like, so next day, time for national team practice, and Kelly Parker is, where the hell is Kelly? Oh, Kelly Parker's back, and she's being nasty as always. Ellen Beals and Marty are talking. Ellen is letting her opinion be known and ragging on Emily for being a rule breaker and whatnot, and really pushing that Kelly is the best narrative because she knows she can control Kelly. And Marty is defending Emily because, remember, he's the one who discovered her. Like, he has a stake in her success. Meanwhile, while the national practice is going on, Payson is having ballet classes to help with her artistic gymnastics routine. The ballet teacher, oh my god, she is like on Payson's ass, and she's like quintessential, like, tough as nails ballet teacher, correcting every single thing Payson does, which is honestly, it's kind of funny. She's not like mean about it. It's kind of like tough love. Since Marty's in town at the gym, him and Ronnie, of course, run into each other, and she tells him that her and Alex are getting a divorce, and he's like, I'm sorry. And she's like, our fling isn't really the reason. Like, it is, but also there was other things going on. And Marty's like, it wasn't a fling. He's like, I loved you, Ronnie, and I guess I still do. And she's like speechless. He's like, okay. So they part ways after that awkward moment. I want Ronnie, go get him. Come on. I know there's like a lot of bad blood there because everything that happened, but like, you guys were so happy. Anyways, Sasha is talking to Marty and tells him that Kaylee's trying to do the Genji Cho move, and that he thinks that Kaylee thinks she needs to lose weight to be able to do it, but like that's just not the case. It's just like her body type is not the type that is going to be able to do that move successfully. And Marty's like, yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, I'll make sure she doesn't do it. And he tells Kaylee to stick to her normal amount. And Sasha also tries to bring up these concerns with Ellen Beals, but she's like, this is a national team practice. You have no authority here. Get out. Ellen Beals is also being very hard on Emily and like berating her every chance she gets and like making her do extra sets of cardio and things like that. And Kelly Parker says to Kaylee, since like comes up and she's like, since when did you get creepy Madonna arms? Now, I didn't know what this was referring to because I'm young. I'm a Gen Zer, so I don't know the Madonna lore, but I did look up Madonna arms, and oh my gosh, like Kaylee's obviously the actress didn't. It's just obviously a line, like it's not true. But Kelly's like, oh my god, she's like realizes that she's losing too much weight. Kaylee's like, I'm toner now because I'm training harder and eating better. Kelly's like, you're only hurting yourself, and tells her to be careful. Like, see, this is why. Look, Kelly. This is why I prefer. Look, hot take. I prefer Kelly over Lauren. Like, yes, she's also shady and nasty, but her reads are always true. She'll read a bitch down, and I'll eat it up every time. But also, she genuinely, she's not friendly to these girls, but like, she values good competition. Emily says that she feels like a big fake, and her mom cheers her up by reminding her that, some strangers believe in her and are funding her life with the scholarship. They chose her out of every athlete to sponsor. She takes her to a new house that they are gonna possibly start renting, and it's much nicer, and she gets her own room. Her room right now at their current house is the living room. She sleeps in the living room on a bed mattress in there. Like, I don't think they have a couch or anything. And she has this nice moment in there of like envisioning what her life could be like. And then Ellen Beals is at Steve's house talking to him, and they're scheming about getting him elected as board president and how they're going to get rid of Sasha. Of course, Chloe walks in at that exact moment. She's like, oh, what's going on here? And he tells her that he's being political and telling Ellen to be supportive of Lauren and of Emily, because the conclusion she jumps to is that he's like sleeping with her, and she's like, ugh. And he's like, oh no. No. But he's like, I'm trying to get her to support both of our daughters. And Chloe's pretty touched. She's like, oh, you would do that for Emily? So the next day, they are competing on who will be going to the world team trials. And Ellen kicks parents out of the gym. She's like, I don't want y'all in here distracting the girls. We need them to be serious. And Payson is in ballet again. And Sasha comes in the class and joins her because Payson complained to him the day before, and she's like, you're not there, you're not the one doing this, so I don't really want to hear your opinion. And so he's like, you were right, I'm gonna participate with you to make you feel not so alone. Marty is getting frustrated at practice because Ellen keeps butting in at every chance she gets with Emily, and he calls her out for bullying Emily and yells at her in front of everyone. And then the national committee shows up, and Ellen's like very ominously like, we have a few things to discuss. Also, while they're doing that, Chloe mentions to Summer that Steve had a private meeting with Ellen, and Summer is like very suspicious. She's like, you need to be careful. The committee and Ellen call Marty into their room and say that they've made a mistake in lifting his suspension, and that they fire him. God forbid you stand up for the gymnast that you're supposed to support. You got fired. So he goes out and tells the girls, and he gives Emily one last pep talk before he leaves, and he tells her she's it. Like, she's the real deal, and to not let anyone take that from her. Ellen then announces that she will be the new national team coach, which is exactly what she wanted. Clearly, I literally hate this woman. Like, I contemplated putting like devil horns on her. So she makes Emily do her worst events instead of her best. So she makes her do like beam instead of vault for the committee, but she still eats. So that's good because she got that last pep talk. She's believing in herself. And Ellen asks Lauren to give her dad some paperwork, and on it she sees that it's the Kipman Endowment Sports Group that sponsors Emily. And so Lauren's like, oh my god. So she goes to show Emily that her dad is the supposed group that believes so much in her as a gymnast, and Emily like storms out, and her mom follows her, and she thinks her mom was in on it, but her mom's like, no, I did not, I had no clue, and I'm honestly just as hurt as you because he's a liar. And obviously this puts a complete blow to her confidence because I mean the whole episode they were talking about how you need to believe in yourself because like these strangers believe in you. So she doesn't think she can make the team, but her mom gives her another pep talk and asks her if she believes in herself, and she's like, that's all that matters. Like, you don't need these people. As long as you believe in yourself, you can do it. And I mean, obviously she doesn't believe in herself if she needs this much outside validation. Like, I get it, but like, girl, you gotta back yourself. If no one's guaranteed to back you, but you gotta be guaranteed back yourself, you know? Ellen has Kaylee do her round off Arabian Mount on bars for the committee, and she is actually able to do it. And then Kelly speaks to Ellen, and she's like, can't you see Kaylee's obviously getting too thin? And Ellen says, no, I see a determined gymnast. So Emily comes back in the gym with a new fire and kills her floor routine. And then later that night, Payson brings Sasha a food dish that she made for him. It is Romanian stuffed peppers, which is an idea she got from reading a book about his life or something. I don't know. She had also noticed that he was eating like cereal for dinner, so she's trying to feed him, I guess is like a thank you for going to her ballet class. And then we find out after all the girls do their routines that Kelly, Lauren, and Emily all make the 10 girls going to the world trials. And Lauren finally confronts her dad about paying for Emily, and Emily tells her mom to dump him because they obviously can't trust him, and she says that they need to give him back every cent. And Marty tells Sasha that he needs to watch his back because Ellen is gunning for him. Summer suggests that Kim runs for parents board so they can block Steve from winning because they know that he's going to try to get rid of Sasha because she knows from Chloe that he's in cahoots with Ellen Beals. And Emily is back working at the Pizza Shack, unfortunately, and that is how the episode 7 ends. Now moving on to episode 8. Episode 8 is kind of like the turning point of the whole season. It's when stuff starts getting really messy and good. Lauren is raging at her father for paying for Emily's stuff, and Emily shows up at their house and gives Steve a stack of money and says she's going to repay him every penny. Look, okay, I think Steve's heart was in the right place. Like, it makes me feel like a little bit icky that he only started giving Emily money when he started dating her mom. And I don't know, it just feels wrong. I don't know, it's giving like, it's low-key like prostitution. But like, I don't know. I get he wanted to help them. It's just, I feel like there was better ways to do it. Payson's dad, Mark Keeler, is back in town. And he's like not too sure about Kim running for president. He's like, I don't know about all that, girl. And then Austin is also back at the gym now that national team practice is over. And he notices that Kaylee's like stumbling out of her car. And he like catches her and like makes a note of her like cold hands, and she's like, it's called air conditioning. And she makes sure to tell him that the kiss that they shared after his party meant nothing to her. And Kaylee bringing that up really makes it seem that way. Yeah. And he just says, that's cool. And they go into practice. Chloe talks to Lauren. She tells her that she's gonna tell Steve about her and Carter because all of this whole mess shows that lies and secrets cause more harm than good. And she tells her that if she doesn't tell him, then she will. Then Sasha tells Payson that her routine is almost there, but he wants to see the emotion behind it instead of just the moves. So it's her artistic journey is really coming along. they have like a training cam, and Kaylee asks Austin to video her vault run, and he like zooms in on her hands and they're like visibly shaking, and he takes note of that. He's like, that's weird. And then when she does her vault, when she lands it, she like gets like dizzy and like almost falls. And then Steve and Chloe, she says she feels like what he did was wrong. His reasons were sweet, and she's like, I'm not breaking up with you as long as you respect Emily's wishes from here on out. And he agrees. Lauren then tells Carter about Chloe's threat to tell her dad, and he's like, okay, well, let's just tell your dad together. If he hears it from us, maybe he'll respect that we came forward and we're honest. So I'm gonna come over tonight and we'll just tell him that we care about each other. And Lauren's like, it'd probably go a lot longer way if you tell him you love me. And Carter's like, and Summer like saw them talking, and so after Carter leaves, she comes up to check on Lauren, who obviously pulls the victim card because she's hurt by what Carter said, and tells her that she needs Summer to marry Steve so that she can be her stepmom. And Emily is in her head at practice because of, the scholarship and everything, and Kaylee tries to cheer her up. Sasha has Payson do the dance parts. Okay, stick with me here. Sasha has Payson go outside, put a tarp on the ground, like a white tarp, and has her do the dance portions of her routine while holding a bottle of paint in both hands and like painting as she moves to make like lines and shapes on the ground to see the flow of her moves. And she starts doing it, and he's like, no, stop. Look at these lines. They're all choppy and short, and they have no flow and movement in them. And he's like, close your eyes and think of something that makes you feel something, any feeling, happy, sad, whatever, and then do it again. And then she does it, and the lines are like perfectly circular and like beautiful, and the whole tarp is covered. And in the little montage of her going, though, like there's some colors on the ground that she must have done the routine like 4 different times to get that many colors. Like she only has 2 hands. It doesn't make sense, okay? But they end the routine, and he's like, look at the art you created, and she's still holding the same colors that she started with after the first routine. I'm like, anyways, just plot holes on plot holes on plot holes. It's not really a plot hole. It's just like it's a hole. And then later, Emily finds out that her mom did not break up with Steve. And she's like, are you kidding me? So she goes off on her about her dating history. And her mom's like, I got a second job that I start tonight. So I'm trying my best, basically. And Kim and Mark talk about the parents' board again. And Payson says that if Steve wins and kicks Sasha out of the gym, like, they're gonna follow him because Sasha's like her only chance basically at making the national team, the world team, and the Olympics. And Payson tells them that she's gonna go to Kaylee's house, but really she goes to pick up takeout food and takes it over to Sasha. However, Sasha already has food because he is at his trailer outside eating with Summer on a date. They have like wine and a salad and things, and Payson's like, oh. Also, while there, Summer sees a book about Christianity in Sasha's RV, and she's like, oh, like he's open to learning about my faith. That's nice. Then Austin invites Kaylee on a drive to test out the car he has on loan from a company that wants him to possibly sponsor him. Right. Okay. Carter and Lauren talk about the plan for him to come over that night, talk to her dad, and in that conversation, Carter tells her he loves her, and she says, I love you too. But it's kind of giving he only said that so that her dad won't tell Sasha so that Carter won't get kicked out of the gym kind of thing, like, because he was talking a lot about that, and it was like Lauren can obviously see that is what's happening because bad timing, Carter. You should have said it like earlier that day. So she obviously gets upset, and so she goes and tells Summer that she's been having sex with Carter. And she tells her that Chloe knew about it the whole time and encouraged it and talked to her about safe sex and even bought her condoms and took her to the doctor for the pill, and which is all a lie, mind you. And Summer's like, Chloe knew about it? Like, she didn't even care about her having sex so much. She just knew that Chloe knew. And oh, so she's like, Chloe knew and didn't tell your father? And can we just hold on 1 second, Summer? I need to cut the cameras, because did you not know that Lauren had sex with Carter? Did you not? Can we roll the tapes of her telling you?
Remember after you lost your virginity to Carter, we talked, and you decided to wait until marriage the next time.
And did you tell Steve? No, you didn't. So I don't know why you're acting all haughty now. Like, you just like one of my biggest pet peeves is hypocrites. Anyways, Lauren asks Summer if Summer will tell her dad for her because she's scared, and she's like, you can leave the part out about Chloe knowing, by the way. Like, I don't want to get her in trouble. And Summer's like, I don't know if I can promise that, Lauren. Austin and Kaylee are on their drive, and he pulls over and parks at a park at the lake and pulls out food, and he's like, we're gonna have a picnic. And Kaylee's like, I'm not hungry. But he's like not listening to her and continues to like talk about the food and get her to eat, and she gets upset and she's like, I told you I'm not hungry. And he's like, girl, you ate lunch like 5 hours ago and then went through a grueling practice. Like, there's no way you're not hungry. And she's like, what, are you testing me? And he's like, I'm just concerned. And she gets pissed and she's like, fine. And she grabs a coconut a crouton and eats it. And she's like, see, there, happy now? Take me back to the gym. And gets up and walks away. And when they pull up and park, he says he has experience with gymnasts who have eating disorders. And she's like, I thought you didn't date gymnasts. And he's like, I'm talking about my sister. And she's like, oh. He tells her like his sister had one because the pressure got to her, and she ended up in the hospital, and it basically tore his family apart, and it ruined her gymnastics and almost ruined her life. Kaylee apologizes for her reaction and admits that she has been getting a little intense with her training and promises to cut back. She's like, why do you even care? And he says, I don't know, there's just something about you. And then he kisses her, which is kind of weird timing if you ask me, but hey. Chloe goes over to Steve's, and he's on the couch, like visibly upset, drinking his hand. And he says he found out that Lauren and Carter have been having sex and that Chloe knew about it. And she's like, well, did Lauren also tell you that I told her to tell you? Or if she didn't tell you, I was going to do it? He's like, no, Lauren didn't even tell me, Summer did. And Chloe's like, Summer. And he's like, what would you do if this was Emily and I knew something about her life that could hurt her and didn't tell you about it? And he's like, I just can't trust you now, and I can't forgive you because Lauren is my most precious thing. And she's like, but I forgave you for lying about Emily when she was really upset about the money. She's crying, and it's intense. And she gives him back his key and leaves. And Lauren is like hiding behind a wall and overheard all this. And Emily comes home to Brian, and their house is all dark. Apparently, Chloe forgot to pay the electric bill, and she notices that Brian is having seizure symptoms because, remember, he has a disability. Again, they're still not very clear on what it is, but he's like, I have no meds because I forgot to get them refilled. And so she gets him on the floor and has a neighbor come and watch him while she goes to the pharmacy to get them refilled. Pharmacy's like, yeah, that'll be like $250. And she's like, what? It's usually like $15, or I can't remember the exact price, but and he's like, well, your insurance doesn't cover it anymore. And she's like, well, how much for 2 pills? And they're like, no, that's not how this works. And she's like, well, can you please go check again? And so he like turns around, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna steal the pills. And just grabs the pill bottle and runs out the door. So they cut back to the Tanners, and Carter shows up at the door, and Lauren opens the door and tells him that Summer already told her dad about them. And he's like, what? And he's like, she works at the gym. Like, she's gonna tell Sasha, and I'm gonna get kicked out of the Rock. And Lauren's like, that's all you care about. See, I knew it. And calls him out for telling her that he loves her only when his spot at the Rock was threatened. And then he leaves. And Kim and Mark talk again and say that Payson needs Sasha. And Mark tells her that she has his full support to run for president of the board. And then Payson is working late at the Rock with Sasha, getting her routine perfect. And they're videoing on the training cam. And he tells her to like envision like a story. Like he wants her to tell a story. So she's like, I thought it's dumb, but I've always loved Romeo and Juliet. And he's like, okay, well, envision that moment when they kiss and blah, 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 and, you know, put it into your dance. So she does it, and it's flawless and beautiful, and she's so excited at the end, and he comes and, like, hugs her or whatever, because she's finally back at the level she needs to be at, and they kiss. Okay, wait, hold on. Payson kisses him. She's just overcome with emotion, and she clearly all the signs were there. She had a crush on him. I mean, the food and the ballet and the reading his book and whatnot. And he pushes her away, and he's like, Payson, and she's like, and runs away. Which, same. So Emily made it back to her house with the meds for Brian, and he's feeling better after he took them. But then she hears a knock on the door, and so she goes over to open it, and it's the cops there to arrest her for stealing a prescription medication. And then the episode ends with Kaylee back with her incessant training on the elliptical, despite what she told Austin that day. And the episode ends with like her running on the treadmill. So that is end of episode 8. Okay. I had to take a little food break and also fix the lighting so things look a little different. That's why. Episode 9 now. It opens with Emily in a holding cell at a jail, of course. Who shows up to bail her out? Oh, our old pal Razor. Do you guys remember him from season 1? Yeah, he hasn't been in season 2 at all yet. So I did not print out a picture of him. And also I can't find the ones I used from last time. So we'll just have to imagine him. But I think this is literally the only episode he's in. So Razor shows up to bail her out because Emily couldn't get a hold of her mom, who also shows up pretty soon after Razor. And she says that she couldn't pick up her phone because she was at her new job where she answers phone for like the emergency, like when you call 911, like an emergency line operator. And and then they show the Cruz household. They show Ronnie bringing Kaylee breakfast, and it's like her mom's like, you barely ate last night, like you need your fuel for the day, and tells her to eat her breakfast, and she leaves, and Kaylee like dumps it into her gym bag and does not eat it. And then they show Payson talking to her mom about how embarrassed she is about the kiss. They have such a close relationship. Like I would literally never tell my mom that. I would simply rather die. Kim's like, I already talked to Sasha and he understands, and there's like no need to be embarrassed. Like he gets it's just a crush and he doesn't want it to interfere with your training. Like just go into the Rock. Her mom's like, it's just a crush and you're gonna laugh about this one day. It's not that big of a deal. And Payson's like, you already talked to him? Oh. And then Steve is taking Lauren to practice, driving her there because he doesn't trust her anymore, which valid. He also refers to Carter as that mop head airbrain, which, I mean, yeah. But also, he's kind of iconic these days, so we give him a pass for that hair. And Lauren's like, it doesn't even matter because we already broke up. And then she accuses him of ruining her life when him and Summer broke up because she lost her chance at having a mom. So Lauren goes into the gym and she sees the training cam there that is still there from last night, and she watches the most recent thing that was recorded on it. And you know, it's Payson doing her routine and she's like rolling her eyes, and then she sees Payson kiss Sasha. And what does Lauren do? Definitely not mind her own business. She takes the tape out of the camera and steals it. She's like, this is mine now. This is gonna come in handy one day, I just know. And then the other girls get there, and Lauren's being like really bitchy to Emily because of the whole mom that payment thing, I guess. And Kaylee goes, so do you rehearse these evil little performances, or do they just come to you on the spot? And then Sasha and Kim talk again and decide what they should do about Payson and the kiss and the crush and everything. And they decide to like have like a conversation with them two and Payson to like clear everything out so they can move on. And then Summer comes up with a plan to get Kim to win the election. She tells her that she needs to convince Alex Cruz to support her and that other people will fall in line if Alex Cruz backs her, because his endorsement goes a long way with the other parents, because Kaylee is obviously the best in the gym. He was like managing the gym at some point, I think. I don't know. At training that day, Sasha notices that Kaylee's a little shaky, and he like talks to her and he's like, I want to make sure you're not still like dieting so you can try to get this Genji Cho move. And she's like, I don't know why she's being so mean to Sasha, but she's like, Ellen Beals thinks my training schedule and my eating are perfect. And what do you care anyways? I'm not sure I don't know why Sasha didn't do anything to her that I can remember, so I don't know what this was all about. Maybe it's just, she's probably freaking hangry. Like, anyways. Then we see Leslie, who is Lauren's mom, who I also didn't print out because she also is not a very common character. But she shows up at the Tanner's house and talks to Steve and begs him to let her see Lauren, and he like accuses her of playing the victim, and he says there's still a restraining order. She's like, that's from when I was still using and I've been sober for 2 years. And he's being a real dick. Like, in saying that she chose drugs over their own daughter and their family, and this man clearly does not understand addiction. And I mean, I don't either, but I know enough to know that it's not a choice. Like, it's not as if she like purposely wanted to do drugs because she didn't care about her. Like, you know what I mean? He tells her that he'll have her arrested if she tries to see Lauren behind his back, and she leaves and she's like, you'll regret this. Damon then stumbles back into town and shows up to pick Emily up from the Rock after practice. So he also tells her that he got a record deal. And he stopped by in Boulder on his way to LA because he left the Green Day tour to celebrate with her. And he's going on and on about how they're both achieving their dreams and blah, blah, blah. And he clearly doesn't know about Emily's arrest. And it's very much like she's like, yeah, that was so awesome. So then Payson, Kim, and Sasha have their meeting. And Payson is so uncomfortable. I don't know why they would do this to her. Like, do they hate her? And they get through it, and they eventually, like claim that they're gonna move on. But I mean, how do you really move on that quickly from that? Lauren asks Summer if her Steve and Summer can have dinner, and like a dinner together, I guess. And Summer's like, I'm actually seeing someone else. And Lauren gets it out of her that it's Sasha. And Lauren gets really upset and says it's totally messed up because she was almost her mother. And Summer's like, I'm not your mother, Lauren. Even though she says that, but then she butts into her life trying to be her mother at every opportunity. So I'm sure Lauren is very confused and hurt. Like, Lauren's like, how could you be with him? He's clearly not a good man if he's keeping you from being my mom. Okay. And then after that, Lauren is like crying in her car, and her real mom, Leslie, is parked in another car in the parking lot and sees her crying and also starts crying because it's her baby girl. Like, she wants to comfort her, and she obviously wants her to be happy and not crying. And she like goes to get out of the car, but as soon as she does, Steve comes out. And so she's like, damn it. So she can't go sneak and see Lauren. And then Emily asks she asks Razor not to tell Damon about her arrest because he's taking her out to dinner that night to celebrate their successes, and she doesn't want to bring him down. That night, Lauren goes home, and she's clearly still upset about how Summer is dating Sasha. So she edits the video from the training cam of Payson kissing him, of the exact moment that Payson kisses Sasha, and it's like he's like grabbing her waist to like push her off, but she doesn't show that part. It's just like it looks really bad. It looks like they are in a romantic kiss moment, and emails it to Ellen Beals, of course, because we'll see what happens with that. And then Sasha comes to Kaylee's house to talk to her parents because he's concerned about her weight, and they ask her to get on the scale. to like see how much she weighs, and it says 106 pounds, which is apparently right in her target range, so they're not too worried. And Alex seems mad that Sasha would dare to come in there and into his house and do that, but Sasha's like, look, I'm just looking out for her. I've noticed some things, like I care about her, want her to be the best that she can be, and she can't do that if she's starving herself. They do this in her like home gym area, and so after they leave, she's got like shorts on, and she like unstraps like ankle weights, but they were on her like thighs kind of. So she takes them off of both of her thighs, and they're each 5 pounds. So it added 10 pounds to her weight on the scale. So really she weighs 96 pounds, which that's not very much. And I think they would have seriously been concerned if they saw that on the scale instead of the 106. Then they show Emily and Damon on their date, and Damon makes a comment about how they both come a long way since they were slinging pizzas at that crappy dump. Don't talk about my pizza shack like that. They show Steve calling Chloe, and he leaves her a voicemail and saying that he's thinking of her, but he is to do what's best for his daughter. At the same time, they show Chloe, and she's like getting dressed for her new job, and she's wearing like a sparkly bra and a name tag that says Bambi. So she clearly lied about working at emergency response center. And then back on their date, Emily tells Damon the truth about the Kitman group being a lie and Steve Tanner, and he's like, why didn't you keep the money? Like, bro, do you know her at all? Like, genuinely, this is embarrassing. She's like, well, Razor gets it. And tells him that they're working together at that crampy dump, the pizza shack. So you, Damon. And she tells him that she like just needs some space, and he can't just blow into town after they agreed to meet 2 laters down the line and expect things to go back to how they were. And you know, she's honestly right. Like, why are you here right now? We had an agreement. Payson and Sasha the next day have a conversation at practice, and they get over their issues and say that they trust each other. Then we have Kim talking to Alex and says that her goal is to do what's best for all of their girls. Is like, do you really think Steve Tanner is going to do that? Like, he's obviously always going to put him and his daughter first. Later at the pizza shack, Razor points out that the issues that Damon and Emily are having are literally the exact same as the ones they were having last season, but they're just flipped. Like with Damon, when Damon's record deal went south and Emily was doing really well, and Damon also got arrested then, and now Damon's doing really well and Emily got arrested and lost her scholarship and stuff. So he's honestly right. So that night they have the parents board election, and everyone who's running gets to do a speech, and Steve Tanner does his speech, and in it he compares Sasha to Hitler. So that's really great. Kim gets up there and she gives a really good speech about how she would hear all of their needs, and you know, she's a mom and she just wants what's best for everyone. And Alex stands up and says that he's going to cast his vote. He's going to endorse Kim Keeler, and then Ronnie and Chloe Kmetko also stand and endorse her. But don't get too cocky yet, Kim, because who walks through the door right during her speech? Ellen Beals. What do we think she's gonna do? She shows up and she's like, I have some info that is relevant to the parents, and Sasha, and that involves Sasha and his inappropriate behavior with one of the gymnasts. Everyone's like, what? And Kim's like, you're literally just lying. Like, I don't believe you, like, if you don't have proof. And Ellen's like, I really don't think you want to do that, Kim. You especially. And she's like, no, I do. Show it. Ellen's like, all right. So she pulls out the picture that Lauren sent of Payson and Sasha kissing. Of course. What else would she do? And shows the whole room. That's actually what this picture is from. I cut out her arm holding the picture. But yeah, that's what that's from. So Kim tries to dig out of this hole and is like, oh, it was just a crush. It's just a crush. And Ellen, of course, is giving some shady comments and says some shady stuff about Kim. And Steve chooses that moment to say, hey, I move we get on with the vote so we can deal with this matter. He's just looking all smug the whole time, and it's just, it just makes me so mad. Of course he gets everything he wants. Stupid man. And Kim comes home and tells Payson that Steve won, and also tells her about what happened with the picture. And Payson's like, I want to die because that is so embarrassing. I mean, doing that is embarrassing, but then having everyone know about it, oh my God. And later that night, Steve and Lauren are celebrating, and he's like, I'm sure I would have won anyways, but the picture really put it over the top. And Lauren's like, I bet Summer breaks up with Sasha now that she knows what kind of man he really is. And Steve is like, yeah, his days are numbered. They truly are two peas in a pod. And Lauren goes to change for dinner, and Steve gets a phone call. It's about his ex-wife, Leslie, Lauren's mom. And we don't immediately get to hear what happened. And Ronnie is cleaning out Kaylee's gym bag that night, and she finds the food that Kaylee dumped in there earlier that day, and she's like, oh shit, Sasha was right. And then Damon and Emily have another conversation, and he's like, you're right, I want you to have the space to do your thing, and I want me to do my thing too. So I'm leaving tonight and going to LA. And then we cut back to Lauren and her dad, and Steve tells her what the phone call was about, and it was actually letting him know that Leslie was, I think, in a car accident and died. But it wasn't her fault. It was the other person's fault. And Lauren, she's like, it doesn't matter. She didn't love me anyways. She didn't want me. She didn't love me. And she's like, I honestly feel nothing. So she also says that she was already dead to her, which is really great. And then Summer and Sasha are talking, and they're like, Payson's gonna be devastated, and Summer is like, I can't believe Ellen would stoop this low. And that is how episode 9 ends. And we're gonna move right on to episode 10. So this episode is gonna be the World Team Trials, which is gonna dictate who's gonna go to Worlds on the World Team. And they have Emily's court date for stealing the drugs set for Friday at noon, and then the World Trials are on Saturday. And Payson and her mom are in the car parked, about to get out and go into the Rock, and a bunch of girls are walking by and laughing, and then a mom comes by and peeks in and stares at them. Kim slams on the horn and says, what are you looking at? And the mom was like, it's so funny. It's so good. I love Kim. She's like Mama Bear vibes. Then they have a parents meeting with all the parents and Ellen Beals to decide Sasha's fate. I don't know why. I guess because the National Gymnastics Organization, but I don't know why Ellen Beals was involved in this. This is a club. He's only the club coach. So it's they decide that Sasha is going to be suspended until further notice. Ellen coached the girls in the meantime, which I don't know how they came to that conclusion. And then we find out that they actually rescheduled World Team Trials to be on Friday. So now Emily has a conflict because of her hearing. Austin's back this episode, and he tells Kaylee that he doesn't want her competing in World Trials because of her weakened condition. And she shuts it down real quick and tells him that her parents and Sasha weighed her, and he's like, oh, what did you put, rolls of coins in your pants? Did you gorge yourself on water? And she's like, no, I'm not gonna lie to my parents. Okay, girl. She tells him that she's the only thing keeping her family together right now, and tells him to stay out of her life. So, sorry, Austin. And then Sasha has a meeting with Payson and her parents about her next steps, since she's not on the national or world team right now. And her dad is not having it. He's being very, I think the whole kiss thing threw him for a loop. He's not having it. Which, okay, I mean, fair. And then Sasha and Summer are talking, and he just is talking about how he feels like he's failed the girls. And then they have a little moment, and they say that they love each other. And then they start heavily making out. And they're Summer takes off Sasha's shirt, but he stops them before they go any further, and he's like, we can't do this. And Summer's like, but I want to. And Sasha's like, I can't let you sacrifice your values for him, because that would make me a good man. And so she freaks out and runs. Steve mentions to Lauren that her mother's memorial service is coming up, and Lauren's like, I'm not going, and gets really upset and goes on and on about how she never loved her and how she's glad she's dead. So, and the whole time Steve is like, but she's your mother and all this stuff, as if he wasn't the one who kept her from seeing her. This is, bro, if she's upset right now, it's your fault. Genuinely. She thinks that her mom didn't love her because you didn't tell her that she wanted to see her and that she was sober. Like, that's literally it. I also don't know if Lauren knows about that there was the restraining order. I don't think Lauren knew about that. So, I mean, she legally couldn't see her daughter. Summer goes to church after her and Sasha's makeout to ask for forgiveness for almost breaking her covenant, and asks why he would allow her to be attracted to a man that she knows she can't have. And she like asks him where to go and who to love. And at that same exact moment, who walks into that church? Steve Tanner. And he's like in the pew, a couple pews over, like crying. And Summer's like, oh, shit. So he's there because he feels really guilty about keeping Lauren from her mom and now her dying and Lauren thinking she hates her. And so he talks to Summer about it. She tells him that he needs to tell Lauren that her mother wanted her and wanted to see her. Then Damon and one of his record guys from the record label go to a local strip club called Bodacious Boulders because the record label guy wanted to go to look for dancers for the music video. But who do they see behind the counter in a sparkly bra and a name tag with the name Bambi on it? Our girl Chloe. And Damon's like, Miss Kimeko. She's like, Bambi. And she asks him not to tell Emily. But she also rats out Emily getting arrested to him. I don't know if she wanted that, Chloe, but go off, I guess. And then Mark goes to talk to Payson about Sasha and like hear more from her side of the story, and asks if Sasha did anything to lead her on, and she's like, no, but after my surgery, like, he was there for me and didn't give up on me and opened my eyes to ballet and made me feel beautiful and special. And so her dad kind of understands more of Payson's feelings and realizes that Sasha wasn't at fault for like taking advantage of her or anything. Austin shows up at the Cruz's house and is talking to Ronnie and Alex about anorexia and about Kaylee, and she walks in on it and sees it. And honestly, I'm just gonna insert a clip of this whole monologue that Austin gives. But Kaylee gets like mad at him and is like, what are you doing here? Like, told you stop butting into my life. And Austin's like, I just can't. And then he goes off on why, and it's I look, I used to like rewind this part and watch it over and over and over again because it's so cute.
First time I saw you, I knew there was something special about you. Before you get a big head, it's not the way you look, because I've dated cuter girls. And it ain't your zesty personality, because you can be a real pain in the ass.
Well, please, go on.
I haven't figured the rest out. I haven't figured you out. But I want to, because once I do, I think I might fall in love with you.
That whole part has me like giggling and kicking my feet. So Alex does not respond well to this whole part. Tells him to get out because he won't have another testosterone-fueled jock sniffing around his daughter. Not again, because of Carter. So he leaves and whatnot. And then Damon is back again and talks to Emily and says that he'll call his stepdad and get him to move the date for her hearing so that she can go to her trials, because his stepdad is like some kind of uppity lawyer, who knows. The next day, or that night, I can't remember, I think the next day, Mark brings Payson, Kim, and Sasha to a little gym that he rented out so that they can continue their training since Sasha's been kicked out of the Rock, to get her ready to petition onto the world team. And Mark apologizes to Sasha for questioning and doubting him and thanks him for being there for her when he couldn't because he was in another state working. Damon and Emily meet with his stepdad, and he tells them that, who he has like weird strife with, but I'm not going to go into that because I don't really care, and tells them that they should hear from a judge about her new court date later that day, and that they just have to confirm her identity. And to do that, the judge calls The Rock to make sure that she is the gymnast that she says she is. And of course, Sasha's not there. So who answers the phone? Ellen Beals. They like try to verify her identity. And Ellen's like, yeah, she works here. And basically like talks shit about her to the judge and tells them to teach her that there are consequences for her actions. So thank you, Ellen. Now, next day, it is time for the world trials. So Emily shows up because she doesn't know that her court date wasn't moved. I guess she never got the call, but she didn't question it and just expected that it just, was gonna happen. And then Ellen tries to give a pep talk to the girls, and it is so bad. She's like, "We can just see how you all react without seeing cheering fans and family and friends in the crowd." So she didn't let any of their friends or family in to see the trials. They're all outside in the lobby watching on a TV. They're not at the Rock, by the way. They're at some other gym. I don't know. And Emily tells Ellen that if Sasha can't be there, then she doesn't need a coach, and because she doesn't want Ellen to be her coach, so she's going to do it alone. Ellen tries to get in her head right before she goes on and tells her that she knows about her little brush with the law, which works, and Emily stumbles on her dismount. These girls really got to work on not letting stuff get in their heads, genuinely. And then they show Sasha and Payson training in their other gym, and she does her floor routine beautifully, and he decides that she is ready to petition onto the world team. And he also mentions that he arranged for another coach to come coach the girls, he wasn't going to leave them alone. And then it's Kaylee's turn, and she messes up her round off Arabian Mount, and Alex and Ronnie are outside watching, and they're shocked. She's she worked so hard on that move, and Austin's yeah, that's what happens when you're weak and tired because you starve yourself. And they're okay. The judges make a remark to Ellen about Kaylee looking a little shaky, and is there anything that they should know? And Ellen's hey, blame Sasha Beloff. I mean, and it's Ellen, what? You literally are the one who put it in her head that she needed to lose weight. I don't know. I just can't deal with her. And then the coach that Sasha mentioned shows up and is none other than his own father, who is, I also didn't print out because he's literally only in this one episode, who was also a famous Olympian and gymnast, and he's known for being a little crazy. But he comes in, he gets the girls all hyped up, and says gymnastics is not an individual sport, and you need your friends to hype you up and support you. So then Sasha comes storming into the lobby with Payson and Mark and Kim in tow, and he's we're petitioning on, and all the parents that are out in the lobby are and Chloe's I'm not missing this, I don't know about y'all. So they all follow them into where they're having them meet and sit in the stands, even though Ellen Beale said they couldn't. And seeing Sasha and his dad interact is so funny because Sasha goes, "Dad," and his dad goes, "Son." And that's literally all they say. Oh, he comes up and he demands that they see Payson, and he has his dad put on her music and tells her to go to the mat, and she starts performing, and Ellen's talking shit about Payson to the judges, and they're "Quiet, please, we would like to watch." And she's flawless. Everybody cheers. Mark is in the audience crying happy tears. Sasha tries to sneak out of the arena, and the girls tell him not to and that they need him. And they turn to the judges and say that they wouldn't be where they are without him, and they want him to stay. The judges give in and allow Sasha to stay for the rest of the competition. And Lauren is they each say something to the judges, and Lauren is literally he hasn't done anything wrong, as if she wasn't the one who sent the picture in. And Lauren is emotional before her routine, and Sasha notices and tries talking to her, and she is starting to cry, and her dad notices and comes to talk to her, and he tells her the truth about her mom and how she wanted her and wanted to see her, and it was his fault that she stayed away. And he gives her the note that her mom left with him when she was just here. It's a picture of her when she was a baby and her mom together. She is okay, I can do this. And look, Lauren's a bitch and I hate her, but this scene, when she does her bars routine after this, and the song that plays, and just the whole little minute is so sweet. She finishes and it's "That was for you, mommy, I love you," and I'm crying tears. It makes me emo every time. But it's time for Kaylee to do her beam routine, and she gets up there and she's very clearly shaky, and Austin notices, so he gets up and walks closer, And she ends up like fainting and falling off the beam, and Austin somehow catches her like perfectly so she doesn't like hit her head or hurt herself when she falls or anything. And then everyone gasps, and like her parents and everyone like run over, and then they take her off to the hospital. And then the competition keeps going though, because they still gotta go. And Emily is about to do her vault, and Damon comes over and tells her that the cops are his stepdad didn't come through after all. But he's like, it doesn't matter. I convinced them to wait until after you did your vault, so just kill these, like, and hypes her up and gets her to do it. And she ends up nailing it. And the judges are so tired of Ellen's bullshit. Like, she makes another comment about, she was like, because Emily does this cool trick, and they're like, that was just an anomaly. And and the judges literally says, shh. They announce the girls who made the team, and they say that they are holding a spot for Kaylee until they know more about her diagnosis. And Lauren got 3rd place, and Emily got 5th, but she's not there to get on the podium because she had to go get arrested. And the 6th and final spot goes to Pace and Keeler. And everybody cheers and is super happy. And they look around and they're like, where's Sasha? Like, obviously he went to the hospital with Kaylee. But the episode ends showing Kaylee in a hospital bed, and Austin is there holding her hand. And then they show Emily in an orange jumpsuit at in an interrogation room, or talking to her mom and Damon. And then they show Summer at dinner with Lauren and Steve. And then they show Payson opening a letter from Sasha, and then that's like talking to him like leaving or something. I don't know. Because then they show Sasha leaving with his RV, pulling with his truck. So, and that is the end of episode 10. That is halfway through the season, and I think I'm gonna stop here because this is gonna be I don't think I'm gonna be able to put all the whole season in one video. So this is where we're gonna end now, and then I'm gonna come back with a part 2. Let me know your thoughts. If this was too long, I'm sorry. I'd be yapping. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. The second half of season 2 is, I think, better than the first half, so be sure to tune in for that one. Bye. Hello?